The Zed to Zed Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Zed to Zed Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Zed to Zed, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. Well, we happen to be recording on my birthday, so that's pretty fun. And Prue gets back from his vacation just in time to record. Tarragon hangs out, and Damien bobs his head in and out all show. We hit on a bunch of topics this week and learn about the gang of hooligans that Tarragon wants to create in Elite Dangerous. Pretty sure that's what he was talking about. I don't know. You guys tell me. Well, let's get this evening of randomness underway. You know, you can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, zedtozed.com. This is episode 60. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter, at ZedToZed, ZedTozed, over at our forums, forum.zedtozed.com, or email us directly, contact@zedtozed.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Challenge Accepted in the application True Achievements. This achievement is another possible snap mode casualty, but this particular one is doubly dubious. You see, it hallmarks two of Microsoft's failed experiments, snap mode and challenges. Of course, being an application, you won't earn any gamer score, but there are so few challenges running, and the impending doom of snap mode puts this on the top of that list as well. The achievement requires you to simultaneously earn a challenge while this app is snapped to the solution of that challenge. Convoluted, I know, but it works. Challenges that are ongoing right now, Forza Horizon 3 has some that are ongoing. State of Decay has one. Every month they do. And Xbox Fitness has a few. So make sure you get those done before the update to the Xbox comes through and renders them obsolete. Special thanks to developer and publisher True Achievements. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, let us know. You can contact us via Twitter, of course, at ZedTozed. Why don't you come chat with us over at our Discord channel, discord.me/ZedToZ. Or that email address, contact@zedtozed.com. You know, you can even leave it in a podcast or iTunes review post. All right, well, let's get this show started with an introduction of my co-hosts. All right, we got a great show with you tonight. We have a relatively full house. Tonight we're joined by Damien. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Brielle's
good. You got your fancy, awesome new mic. You sound great. It was nice hearing that in the last episode. Good for you, buddy.
Sing for you tonight now too.
All right, we'll do that in your recap. You can have a melodic recap. And Prue is here after his brief vacation. We didn't think we'd get you this weekend. How are you doing, Prue?
You know, I'm okay. I just did come back from Florida, so when I got on the plane, it was about 78 degrees, and when I got off, it was about 35. And I know that's not as cold as maybe Minnesota is, but it's still a big difference.
It's a big drop, yeah. I'll give you that. I don't envy those large temperature variations. Do you come back with some sunburn or anything?
No, I'm not a big beach guy, although I did have my foot in the Gulf of Mexico yesterday, so that was pretty exciting.
Just your foot? Like
just my foot.
Even go swimming? Okay.
I'm not a big. If I can't see the bottom of the water that I'm in, I'm not going to swim in it. There are lots of creatures that will do you in very quickly. It's just a phobia of mine, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds like some serious issues. You should probably get that looked into.
So I went. What is it called? Not snorkeling. I went snorkeling when I was a young age, and I got in the water.
Did you get eaten by a shark?
I did. In fact, I did. I got eaten by a shark. It was terrible. It was traumatic. No, I got in the water.
Made about it.
Yeah, I think maybe you've heard of it, but I can't remember the title. Anyways, no, it was actually terrifying. I was 13. I got in the water, and then all of these fish, tropical fish, like slithered their gross bodies against me, and I was terrible. It was terrifying. So I don't like going into water now.
It was just nasty, vicious tangs and angelfish, and yeah.
Clownfish.
It's the barracuda you got to watch out for. That actually, I had my wife on our honeymoon. It was like, because she hates that type of swimming and stuff, and so if she goes out where she can't see the shore, she gets really panicked. I'm like, come on, sweetie, like it'll be great. Or just go in. And she said, look, all you have to worry about really is barracuda, and the likelihood of seeing one out here is pretty slim. And you just gotta, as long as you don't have like anything shiny on. Of course, she's got a swimsuit with like a shiny spot right on her chest. She's like, oh, like this? Jeez, okay. She gets in, and first thing we see about 10 feet away is a barracuda, about 4 feet long. This thing looks like a torpedo. And she's like, nope, and immediately back on the boat. So I spent, that excursion out swimming by myself. I saw a shark, though, it was awesome. I love snorkeling. Let's not forget, who has the best snorkeling is Tarragon out in the Great Barrier Reef. You're like right next to it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's still alive.
It's effectively across the other side of the country for me, but yeah, no.
What are you talking about? It's like up. Oh, yeah, that way, north.
Yes, yeah.
You got to go across the country north.
Yeah.
That is the skinnier part of the country, though.
Well,
I mean, we're not talking east to west. You're going north to south.
all of the obese people are over in Western Australia, is what you're saying. So it's all the skinny people live on the east coast.
Is there anything on the west coast of Australia?
Yeah, we've got Perth in Western Australia. That's sort of one of the major cities, and then it gets pretty sparse going north from there. So northwest of Australia is kind of very hot and very bushy and very not a lot going on there except for mining, I think.
And drop bears.
And drop bears. Of course, drop bears are everywhere. Yep.
I just saw a bunch of like internet like I did an image search of drop bears because I was like, I want to kind of see some of these things. And man, some of the fun Photoshop things that you will find are just wonderful. They're just wonderful. I love it.
They're not Photoshopped for him.
Oh, they're all
that's
real.
all real.
I showed my son. I showed my son what a drop bear was. I'm trying to remember why. And I had a picture of somebody who had one, and it was like a koala who had just gotten out of like. He got wet, so his hair was all like matted. He looked like he had dreadlocks almost.
Yep.
And then they like changed his eyes to like bright glowing red. Like there he is, and he just looked like.
That's the classic one in the Jaws as well. It's got the big, massive. Yeah, it's the bite. Yeah, classic.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't really have a lot of show announcements. I guess the only thing I kind of wanted to touch on was the formatting from last show, right? I didn't know what you were doing, Tarragon, when we first, you had said, I kind of got some ideas. I'm going to move some things around. And I just recorded an intro and crossed my fingers and hope for the best. And I actually kind of liked it. So, we'll keep it going for a little bit. Now, if anybody out in the audience who's listening to this thinks, oh my God, no, it was terrible. You guys are awful. You got to fix it. Then speak up. Otherwise, we're going to kind of play with this for a little bit. Cool. I do have some recap thoughts on episode 59. I made a little list here. All right. So one I already said, new format. I liked it. We'll keep it up. We'll keep testing it out. If it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't, great. You had that comment about the longest one-syllable word. You asked what it was. Do you know what it is? It's strength. It's a 7-letter word that's only one syllable. Interesting, huh? I know you'd like it. Okay.
What about strengths? Is that a 1-letter word?
Yes.
One syllable.
One
1-letter word. Yeah, like A. Strengths.
Right. 8 letters now. Look at that. I already mentioned it at the top of the show, but Damien's new mic was awesome. I did put in here, if we can only improve the content that comes out of his mouth, then we'd be really set. But the sound is really good.
That's not going to happen.
One step at a time. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Well, yeah, right.
Actually, just for that, I'm going to make sure we go downhill from here on out with the content that comes out of my mouth.
Finally, so my wife and I, we were watching the show The Good Place. Have you guys watched this at all? The situation comedy with Kristen Bell and Ted Danson about a girl who she dies and wakes up in The Good Place, and you come to find out that it was an accident. She's not supposed to be there, and so the whole show is kind of like her being in heaven and knowing that she's not necessarily supposed to be there. And it's a short 13 episode series, and it's very funny. I really really enjoyed it. They did renew it for a second season, but ultimately it didn't it wasn't crazy popular, so they were like kind of nervous that it wouldn't get a second season. Suffice it to say, the reason I bring it up is A, you should watch it because it was good. I really liked it. It was funny. B, the cliffhangers in that show are amazing. Like, they do an excellent job, like Telltale Games type cliffhangers where it's like, oh my God, I really should watch the next one. But number 3, it's a show about the kind of dichotomy between heaven and hell. And so there's an episode in there where they talk about what happens in the bad place. And they have all these like weird, crazy torture scenarios that are like just silly, right? Like, oh, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate when I have to go outside and flaming lava birds, try to grab my hair, and I want to eat ice cream, but it's always salami flavored ice cream, or just crazy torture things that are just really obnoxious. And it got me thinking of your comment, Tarragon, when you said that Randy doesn't like to play good games, that he only plays garbage games to complain about them. And I thought that would be his torture scenario. That, like, if Randy went to hell, it would be, Randy, you get to play video games all the time, but it's a leaderboard achievement. And every time you get to second place, you either your save wipes out, or the internet falls apart, or somebody's blocking the leaderboard, and you're always in second place on a leaderboard in a garbage game. That is like, that's what I envision.
That's what he did. That's what he is for months and months on end.
Why do you think he's so rainy?
I know.
He's in the bad place already.
He's in the bad.
I know.
Anyway,
actually, torture for him would be, you could actually spend all your time to play this game. You just can't. You can't even start it to waste the time to advance on the leaderboard.
Or just he constantly gets an unobtainable, like as he hits 49 out of 50, and then boom, unobtainable.
Or there's just, there's games with no leaderboard, no online, no multiplayer, and they're all fun. And it sounds like I got somebody that's up, so I'll be back in a bit once I feed her with a bottle. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
All right, so with that, one of my favorite things that you did last week, and we're going to bring it in here, but I have a little bit of a catchier new name. I'm calling it the Win of the Week. And I want to hear what your best thing that
Typical
happened
have something more catchy than what I made up. God.
Win of the week. Tarragon, why don't you start? What is your win of the week?
Well, I've actually got a top 10 completion, I think, for the first time on TA, which was on Silvio. So I think it's a game I've probably mentioned a couple of times in the last couple of shows. But I managed to get the ninth completion on that game. So I was pretty happy with that. There was one little thing with that, though. I think I mentioned it last episode that I'd actually had, there was a bit of a dropout with the achievement progression or the achievement servers, and I lost some progression in the game. But as a result of that, I found there's actually a little bit of a collectibles exploit in this game, as in it doesn't count unique collectibles, which means that you can restart the game and go and collect a bunch of the things, and it will still tick up your achievement counter. So, so that helped, and I've flagged the game now, so that it's all of the achievements are basically, you don't need to worry about the uniqueness constraints and things like that. So that was very handy because I just went through and got the first of those reels that I'd missed, and that unlocked it, and a few other. There were some other ones that you need to go through and basically listen to every single, like doing it properly, you need to go through and find all of these little sort of hidden voices in the static, which are just like random locations around the areas you explore, and you have to pull a microphone out and listen to it. So you need to find all of those normally, or you could just restart the game and go back and do the ones that you've already found. So that was handy. So yeah, but I got the 9th completion, so I was pretty happy with that.
Way to go. Nice work. I like to hear that. Prue, what about you? What was your win of the week?
So I've obviously went on vacation in the last half of this week, so I didn't get to play too much, but I did get Rocket Genocider on Rocket League, which is an achievement that's not so impressive for skill. It's actually just 535 shots on goal, but for the volume of play that I've played since I started picking up Rocket League since Christmas, I guess. So about a little over a month now. It's just from playing that game constantly with friends and just playing it and playing the hell out of it. It's so much fun. And I think that's the last of the kind of go for it, long-term achievements. The rest are like, you specifically have to go for them or whatever.
Set something up.
Yeah. So, but I was very excited when I got that achievement. because the Rocket League achievements have kind of worn thin at this point. I haven't been getting them very often.
Oh, and you still play the game. That's unbelievable.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I jumped into a party this week with Big L, Matriarch, Stushnikin, and I was at Smiddle, I think. And Smiddle and Stush were playing Rocket League while we were playing something else. And just to hear them in the background, just like, here we go. And I should get really excited about it. And like, yeah, just like you're watching, a football game or whatever. It was football, soccer. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Stush and Smiddle are probably the best people I've ever played with. I love joining on their team because I hold up the rear there, but it's so much fun because we end up winning most of the time. I'm like, yeah, you guys just go forward and score all the goals. I'll be around if you need me. It's so much fun.
Nice. Yeah, my win of the week was actually, since the month ticked over, I did it, guys. I did not pull a Freem and got my marathon.
Yay!
In Microsoft Solitaire. Successfully nailed the month of January, all 31 days. Cha-ching. So I'm super happy about that. Now, although the one thing that is a bummer is my bronze medal did not tick for either that month or December or something. So that's super obnoxious because I'm sitting at 2 of 12 on bronze. Of course, it couldn't be something like silver or gold. 2 of 12, and I've got 3 of 10 and 3 of 8 in silver and gold.
I think I mentioned that last episode, actually, that
you did.
I had the same issue. I've missed a bronze and a silver, but it has started counting again since an update. So, and I've got a gold. So I'm missing a bronze and a silver, so it's an extra month. And
one more month. I know, right?
Which is pretty annoying. You'd think they could just check and go, okay, if you've got the gold, you must have had the silver and the bronze for that.
Totally agree.
Yeah, anyway.
Although getting the bronze, isn't a huge deal.
It's just another month.
Well, it's not even, you don't even have to play it for a whole month. You could take an hour out of your whole month and get that bronze real quick.
That's true. It won't take too long. I have to get the silver as well, so that will take a bit longer. But yeah, I guess if I can add a loss of the week, I actually had a car accident this week. A petrol tanker drove into the side of my car, so it hasn't been a great week for me this week. But I'm okay.
We saw the pictures of that. That was quite the wreck. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, good. It was on the right side of his car. I'm like, oh crap, this drive on the right side of the car.
Yeah. So it was basically I pulled in to go across and out of a side street to try and get across to the far lane to turn right further up the road. All the traffic was stationary. Of course, I pulled into a blind spot in the truck. The truck couldn't see me over the front of its hood. And the truck just took off, not realizing it was there, and just drove straight into the side of me. So I was like, yep, great. So pretty low speed. But yeah, my car's not working for a while.
That is a bummer. Did you get a replacement?
No. I'm basically just training it in or borrowing my partner's car.
You're hoofing it?
Yep.
Can you ride a kangaroo to work? Or is that not acceptable?
Yeah, they're a bit angry. Probably because I keep punching them. So
Yeah. A big wheel. Do you guys have big wheels out there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Actually.
These toys. Okay, so they're children's toys where you've got one oversized front wheel. It's like a tricycle. One oversized front wheel and 2 plastic rear wheels. And oh man, these little plastic things, you could tear ass throughout like your house or wherever. These things were like just death incarnate when you were a little kid. They were awesome.
Is this is this like the bike that that kids rides in The Shining? That's around the hotel. Do you know that?
It is, but it's electric.
Yeah, kind of. Right? Yeah, it's not as, and it's certainly not. Well, you could even ride one of those like really old timey bicycles that like with the crazy giant wheel. I know the Simpsons parodied it all the time.
The penny farthing.
Yeah. It's summer down there, right? Why, you can just bike. You just show up to work drenched in sweat. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Actually, a lot of guys do actually bike to work, but yeah,
I bet they do. Minnesota has the second highest bicycling commuting state in the United States, behind, and we're always battling with Portland because Portland. Oh, stupid Oregon and Minnesota back and forth. They trying to get number one bicycling, and I'm like, what's wrong with you people? It's freaking cold here. Like, why are you? One of my best buddies is he works for Trek Bicycles, and he'll constantly be like, he takes people on these tours all over. He's like, oh yeah, I got a 3-week tour in Costa Rica. I'm gonna get, I get paid to go bike around Costa Rica with take a bunch of rich people around. Or oh hey, it's Tour de France, so we go and we run the course after the pedalon goes through. We do the Tour de France course. I'm like, God, are you kidding me? Like, that sounds awesome. Like, you literally ride a bike for your job. Anyway, so be it. What's that, Prue?
I was just going to say awesome sounds relative. I don't know if I would be super excited about riding a bike all over a tropical island, but, maybe that's your thing. That's fine.
How is that not good? What?
I would get hot
because you're riding a bike.
I don't know. It's not necessarily the most exciting thing to me, but that's okay.
Well, we'll when we get back, when Damien gets back, we'll have him tell us what his win of the week was. But we'll move on. We got an iTunes review this week, guys. It just so happened to come in. Of course, the review happened a month ago, January 2nd. But we got our monthly email to say, hey, guess what? You got something new. And it's from M. Contini. He was a listener from the X1 Bros. I've talked to him before. He says, really enjoyable and informative podcast relating to Xbox achievements and gamerscore. I especially enjoy the unique contests. And since hearing Brandon's interview on the X1 Bros, I've been somewhat addicted to gaining gamerscore and going back and listening to the backlog of these podcasts. Yeah. Also motivated me to join in my first ever boosting session for Gears.
Yeah, it really begins.
Yeah. Michael,
it's all downhill from here.
I was going to say, his first name is Michael. You did not, that's not even like dipping your toe in. A Gears boosting session is right into the deep end.
Yep.
That is by far one of the most miserable boosting experiences you could possibly go for.
Good way to start, I guess.
Fully submerged.
One of us. One of us.
Yeah, one of us. Thank you, M. Contini, for the review. I totally appreciate that. Great having you aboard. I look forward to finding some time to game with you there. We got a tweet from T-Virus Tyrant, and I knew we could just answer this one quick, so let's throw this out here. Does the BioShock region variants, do they work on the Xbox One? Tarragon?
In a word, yes. Next question.
There you go.
You can actually check this yourself if you go to the True Achievements page for the various variants, and it will actually say on the side panel whether or not it will work in backwards compatibility on the one. So that's in fact what I did just to check. I was pretty sure that they did, but I went and checked them all, and yes, all of the variants do work on the one. So there we go.
Perfect. We got a question from Decoy1982. He asks, if you could play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be? Prue, do you have an answer for this? Tarragon, you got to think about it a little bit. You got one game to possibly do. Now, there's a caveat, and he says, if you want to play other games, you need to listen to screaming koalas the whole time. So you're not completely precluded from playing other games, but you will not be able to hear the soundtrack because koalas would be screaming the entire time. And you might gouge your eyes out because it's awful. Because we hear it when we play Titanfall, and it is awful. Totally awful.
Yes.
So one game for the rest of your life. I think for me, this is my life. I'm going to have to say Destiny. I've already poured hundreds of hours into it, and there's enough replayability there in both multiplayer and single player that I think that can keep me going. It's tough though, because at some point that's done. Maybe I have to hold out for Destiny 2 and then at least get a longer period of time for it. But I think that's what I'm going with. Prue, Tarragon, you guys have an answer?
I'd probably go Saints Row 4. I think.
Yeah.
That is not true. No one would pick that. No.
For me, it's probably just the game that I've been sinking a lot of time into lately that I can't see myself actually putting down for any extended amount of time, and that is, of course, Elite Dangerous. There's so much to explore and do in that. So if there was one game that I was going to have to play and that was all I was going to be able to play, then that'd be the game. at this point.
I've been spying on your conversation in the Elite Dangerous community chat there, and you were talking about factions.
Yep.
What is that? What, like, you join? What does that do for you if you join a faction?
Right. Well, in the game, there are various factions that have sort of certain influence on various on systems, or they can spread to different systems and so forth. That's a lot of this is to do with what's called the background sim in Elite Dangerous, where there's basically economics and politics going on all the time based on various things that change, and this all responds to player actions. So if you do a lot of trading for a particular faction, or if you do a lot of missions for a particular faction, then their influence can go up, which might then trigger certain other events in that particular system. And they might go to war with another one to like gain more influence or take over a system or things like that. So you can basically do a lot of things which will affect various factions' standings and the states of various systems just by rote of what types of missions you take and what actions you take. So what Frontier did a while back was that they introduced the concept of player factions, because currently all of the factions are basically all generated, so they're based on the system. Like there might be a system called, say, Mycon, and they might be a faction just generated called the Dukes of Mycon, and there's a few other factions automatically generated for that sort of fight it out on that system. But what you can do now as a player faction, you can create your own faction. So you create some lore for it, and you basically you start afresh with that. You have it named for whatever you want, and you pick a spot, and that's where your faction is. And so you work on that as your kind of your own thing, and it's actually called specifically a player faction. It works the same as the regular factions in game, but
Sure.
But it's your own thing. So there are a lot of player factions out there that are sort of have people behind them actually working to build their influence. So yeah, I've been looking into what can be done to set up a Z to Z, one of those, just because we've got a fair bit of interest in Discord and in our listeners.
So could you actually have your own, like a complete Z to Z faction, or is it like your little clan joins up with one of the major factions that are already out there?
We could do either, but I'm aiming to get our own. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to just to keep it sort of sci-fi-esque as well. I'm kind of leaning towards the name sort of ZZ plural alpha something. I haven't kind of decided on the rest, but ZZ plural alpha is a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that or watched it.
I have seen it, but I don't remember. I don't get the reference.
Yeah, it's just when they first get picked up after they've been ejected into space by the Vogons, and they get picked up by the Heart of Gold. Some of the stuff there is just like ZZ plural alpha, blah blah blah. It's just one of those little line quotes from it. So yeah, and obviously ZZ, two Z's, Z to Z. So it's sort of fit. But yeah, I'm still working on that in my head, and working out where we're going to place ourselves. But I have to get back to the bubble first before I can even sort of do much more.
Sure. Can these factions? I mean, can they be militant? Can you start wars with other factions, or is it simply socioeconomic and political? Like, I want to. I mean, can we just launch an all-out assault on somebody else?
It's sort of If you decide that you wanted to just attack another faction, then that will affect things like if there's enough of, if you're killing enough of a particular faction, that can do things like put a system into a lockdown state, because there's basically anarchy going on and people attacking people. So it goes into lockdown that affects certain parts of the socioeconomic status of that system. Which then generates different types of missions that you can do to try and stabilize it or destabilize it. It's a pretty complex beast. Once
that is fascinating.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of things to influence, and the game is a very complex beast. So yeah,
is this still in game preview technically?
No, it's out of game preview.
Or is it fully launched?
It's fully launched.
So this is. But it's still living. I mean, it's constantly evolving and changing. Yep. You got new things being added all the time. That's just fascinating.
They've just announced the next update, 2.3, that's going into beta later in February, and that has multi-crew and also player avatar stuff. So they're actually for the first time you'll be able to actually shape what your commander looks like. At the moment, you just basically have a helmet. And you can also, multiple people can fly a ship. So you have people basically on the turrets and guns and things like that while somebody else is flying the ship around. So that's all coming in the next release, amongst other things. But
Nice,
yes, but yeah, they're
nice.
constantly planning, constantly doing things. There's all the alien stuff, which we've alluded to before. So that's an
Yeah.
ongoing story that's developing. So yeah, it's all fun.
I mean, I again, it's completely fascinating. This sounds amazing. I will not be participating. Thank you. It sounds like a god awful giant piece of mess, but like super interesting.
Yeah,
I can't believe all this. The
Destiny-
systems are so complex.
Destiny has no concept of grinding or things that take a long time or
Yep.
things that you need to work on for ages and ages. And yeah, I can see how you'd prefer Destiny to something like Elite Dangerous, just because it's such a quick and easy game to get where you want to get to. It's great.
Hey, listen, if I wanted to drive around the solar system like a little old lady, I could do that. It's not for me.
Oh man.
Hey, we got another comment here from Reset42.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I didn't get to answer with my pick of what
that's
I would
right.
play if there was only one game. And I was actually going to pick a good Bungie game and pick Halo 2. If I
Halo
could
2?
only play one game for the rest of forever, it would probably be Halo 2.
With are you hoping that there's a multiplayer community?
I assume there's multiplayer. I would assume also Tarragon would also assume that there was multiplayer in Elite Dangerous as well. And I assume you would assume that there was multiplayer for Destiny, so I would assume
I think
would be
I think we have to
we're
assume
not on
that
like
the game
desert
is
island, right? Yeah.
we have to assume that the game is playable. So therefore, I have to say yes, I would like to play Elite Dangerous for the rest of forever, and that means that the servers have to stay up. So it's
So that would be my game. That was the game I probably spent the most time already playing. So I would. It stands to reason that I would play that for eternity, anyways. So I'd go with Halo 2.
You know what's funny? So last night we went to a friend's house of mine for dinner, and so he's got a son who's my son's age. They're both 8, and then he's got an older boy. I think he's 10. And so I know they kind of like gaming, and so we were just kind of talking around. Of course, they're not achievement hunters, or do they? They're not on the cutting edge. I know they have a Wii, I think just a regular Wii, and they had an Xbox, and so I was. We were just kind of jaw-jacking a little bit, and their eldest son came and it's like, hey, can we play Xbox? Maybe dads and sons versus, maybe we'll do that. And he's like, well, why don't you guys go play? Dads are going to be up here talking. You can go do your thing. And so there's like, oh yeah, we're going to go play Star Wars Battlefront. I'm like, oh, okay. My son hasn't really played. He's done Plants vs. Zombies a little bit, but I don't know how I feel about the guns and the shooting just yet. But, at least there's no blood or, crazy violence in Star Wars Battlefront. I'm okay with that. So they oh my God, they were just glued to that thing. And you started getting toward late in the night, and I'm like, I should go check this out and just, kind of see what's up. And I go down there, and they are playing with the Dukes on the OG Xbox, the old school Star Wars Battlefront game.
Nice.
We're talking original Xbox, and like the graphics are just hideous. And it's totally playable, and like they're just in this crazy bot warfare. It's obviously there's the 3 of them, and then just constant AI spawned all over. I couldn't follow what was going on. I'm like looking at this, and I'm thinking. He's like, hey, Dad, why don't you want to grab a controller? You can play with us. And I'm like, I'm not even sure I can do this. Like, I got these old man eyes now. I can't even see with all this just potato graphics here. It's unbelievable.
And you probably wouldn't have been able to actually grasp the Duke. It's just that big.
It's just mad.
If the 8-year-olds could hold the Duke, I assume, Freem, that you would be able to hold the Duke as well.
8-year-olds holding the Duke is like putting it on the ground and pressing the buttons from above, right?
Yeah.
There's no other way that's possible.
The Nintendo trackpad.
They just jump on the button that they want to press.
Oh, but it was fascinating. I totally forgot that game and the original Xbox, man. It was really a sight for, and I told my son, I'm like, actually, because Tarragon got EA access, like I've downloaded the new Star Wars Battlefront. He's like, "Oh my God, really?" Like, yeah, I haven't played it, but he's like, "Oh, when can we do that? Can we do that now?" I'm like, "Oh, we'll see." He's been asking me if I would run through the Halo campaign with him. I'm that's because that is an M game, although I think it's just for swearing, right? Occasionally,
There's
here and
There's not much more than swearing. Maybe a little blood, but it's all blue. I guess if you shoot a Marine, it might turn red, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's no gore or anything in it for sure.
I'm
think I
hard
told
pressed.
him
Besides some mature themes, perhaps, which are that's talking loosely. I failed to see there's anything really in Halo, particularly the original Halo, that's going to be much of a
that's
problem.
kind of why. And I was kind of thinking maybe when he turned 9 or something, I would be okay with it.
Probably a bit scarier when it gets to the flood section.
Yes,
That's probably there's a creepy kind of bit there, and there's the whole Marines dying and shooting themselves and stuff like that.
You can skip the cutscenes though.
That's probably about the only bit.
Because we're at this kind of a weird juncture right now. Because that's one example. The other example is my wife has been reading him the Harry Potter series of books, and so he loves to read. Like he is just constantly gobbling up books, and so they breeze through the first 3 books like real fast. And so now my wife's, we're very tentative about the 4th book. And, of course, no spoilers, even though the book is 10, 12, 15 years old now. But there is death in the 4th book.
That's Goblet of Fire, isn't it?
Yep. And it's like, okay, boy, this is kind of that next step, right? This is where the series starts to get real dark. Things really progress. Voldemort's murdering people all over the place. It's like...
Well, to be fair, you do know that Voldemort killed Harry Potter's parents right from the get-go. So it's kind of like...
there was a lot of death in the first 3 books. I mean, it's not as blatant and obvious, but yeah.
But there was death in the beginning of Frozen. There's death in every Disney movie where mom and dad die. That's just...
one of the major themes of Harry Potter...
That almost is come to be expected now.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of...
Oh. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just mentioned that I had gone to vacation in Florida, and I went to Harry Potter World. And it was fantastic. It was super awesome.
Did you get a wand? Did you go to Oliver's?
I actually already...
Ollivander's, yeah.
I didn't go to Ollivander's, although rest in peace, John Hurt. I actually already own a gag gift of a wand that Prumate gave to me on one of my birthdays a few years ago. But no, I didn't.
Don't even.
It was. It kind of was if you knew the context. But
why is it phallic shaped? Was that the?
Does it vibrate? What does this do?
It was Hermione's wand, and I have a bit of a crush on Emma Watson, so that was what it was.
Are you gonna be for Beauty and the Beast? Are you excited to see that movie?
No, I have no interest in seeing the movie at all. But you know how
over your shoulder, just Crewmates watching you.
Oh God, he's here.
Yeah.
No, but it was amazing how many people did buy wands. And actually, there were some pretty cool. If you go down Diagon Alley and you go to Hogsmeade and stuff, and like there are these places that you buy the wand when you get there. And they have these Kinect-esque sensors around in all these shops. And if you do your wand in a certain motion, something will happen in that storefront. Whether it's like something, it's a remember all or something happening, like a goblin pops out of a present or something. It's actually really interesting and neat, like how they interact. I know this is way off topic and probably
they do that at Disney too. They have like the collectible card game. And you have to like show your cards to this camera, and the camera will read the symbols on the card and interact with you, and you'll get a different part of the story and stuff. And oh man, it was so much fun. My son loved it. It was great. Yeah, that's super. It's really interesting how they're using technology to kind of engage. And it's like, because it's not a ride, right? You like literally walk around and you're just kind of milling about in the streets. It keeps people out of queues elsewhere. So it's great.
It's like a walking simulator.
There it is. Perfect. All right, we can move on here. So like I said, from Reset 42, he says, I just listened to episode 57 with Dr. Hazel. It would be interesting to hear her views on achievement hunting in general, like spending hours on games that you don't actually enjoy grinding out a single achievement. I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say that, we kind of talked about a little bit of addiction and stuff. I think for us, it depends on. Ultimately, it comes down to physiology, and really, what we're aiming for is that hit of dopamine when you get the achievement. And so, in some instances, you will grind that thing out, and it's just soul crushing and defeating. And then that moment when it hits, hopefully, if you're, the goal is then you get that rush, like, oh my God, yes, nailed it. That feels so good. That's what you're gunning for.
It's really disturbing, isn't it? Just how similar this sounds to a heroin addict trying to get that hit.
Sure.
It's like, I've got to get that, got to get that thing. And then, and the more you do it, the less effective it is. So it's like,
Bingo.
you got to get more achievements and
it's
you
that fine line.
You got to grind harder to get that achievement, to get that rush. It's like, anyway.
I mean, I'm looking at,
maybe this explains Randy. It's just
could be. Could be. I mean, I'm looking at Titanfall right now, and we got a lot of people who are hovering in Gen 8 area, and we got another subsection down in Gen 4. And all those Gen 8ers, like at some point, during our sessions, they're all going to get to Gen 10 and be done. And then there's going to be like 5 of us in Gen 4 or somewhere. And my guess is everyone else but me is going to be able to put more time into it. And so it's like, at what point when everyone wants to move on and not play, am I going to say, yeah, this isn't worth it for me anymore? Like, can I find that point where what I'm putting in, I'm not getting out? That's one of the amazing things about video games is in the analog of like real life. Because at work, I mean, let's take like manipulating a spreadsheet, for instance. Many of us at work have to do something with spreadsheets. It could be any number of things. I mean, even, a lot of you programmers and stuff, you guys do stuff like this all the time. And, if you are moving data from one space to another space, let's say in accounting or finance, or even, from my standpoint, like formulation percentages or whatever, and I'm moving data around, like there's nothing to that. But if you go ahead and I am doing a spreadsheet where I'm typing out the achievements and I'm coming up with a plan on how I want to, approach my gaming that night, I get a huge rush out of that. And what people are looking at is like, how can we make work, like real work that is actually productive, into a game? Because that's the gamification of what I've done here with achievements keeps me motivated, keeps me excited, and keeps me on task. Whereas I'm at work and that's like, oh, this is garbage, I don't really care. And a lot of it comes down to you don't get the type of satisfaction with the end result. Is because you're relying on, a boss or a supervisor to say, hey, I know you put a ton of effort into that and it really shows you did a great job, right? That's awesome. But there are instances where it's like, I just totally phoned that in. Hey, you did a great job. Thanks for putting it. It's like, well, that didn't match up. I didn't put any work into it and I get a big pat on the back. Or I busted my butt and you said it was garbage. Like the end result doesn't match up with the amount of work you put in. Whereas video games, more often than not, the amount of work you put into it is totally paid off in full. If it is really difficult to beat a boss and you keep trying and trying and trying and you get incrementally better each time, when you finally beat that boss, the rush you get is like, oh my God, it's so good. And so that type of sensation is really what we go for. And for us as achievement hunters, just that one more. Oh, there it is. Boom. And thankfully Microsoft has that god-awful rarity unlock sound that hits you twice. It's like, yeah, I got it. And then it's like,
oh, you really got
it. I was ready to move on, and there's the stupid secondary chime. Anyway,
I mean that's ultimately the whole point of the achievement, right? It's to kind of distinguish yourself from the other people that have played the game, and to kind of to say, hey, guess what? This person did this thing, and 99 times out of 100, this thing is not that impressive. You can press start on the Simpsons game, and it's not that great, but it's that. Oh, by the way, I have Mile High Club, or I have completed GRAW, or whatever it is. Yep. And that is exactly what achievements were built for. That rush, that dopamine kind of hitting you there, like that is what this system that we love and kind of work towards is built around.
Do you think part of it, though, might have to be with that in work, though, there's technically no end? Like the whole idea of, like, I guess games and completions is you get this achievement, but you're done. You got the achievement. You can move on from it. From work, on the other hand, is I could do super great. And I mean, as much as like in the sales role, I get paid money versus I got 10 gamer score. I mean, one would say that money might be a little more rewarding, but it's but the thing is, it's like if I look at my job, it's like, okay, I'm got about another 25 years. You know, I'm looking at a sleeping baby here. I got another 25 years of this to go through. No end in sight. You know, at least Jericho, I'm done. I don't ever have to go back to it.
Life is the ultimate grind.
It really is. But I mean, you know, and this is what makes
it's a marathon
it
with no end. It's a death march.
Yeah, there it is. You know, but I mean, let's say if you could compartmentalize and say, okay, you know, I got a big meeting with this customer, and this is this game, and if I can close this deal, man, that's gonna feel so good. And if you know, and then hopefully it's like, oh yeah, you get that deal closed, and that's your achievement. Woohoo! I feel so good about myself. Great. And then it's like, I'm going to move on to the next game, the next customer. I mean, that is, in a way, you could conceptualize it like that. Now, realistically, it doesn't work like that. But.
Yeah, I think that is one of the strategies when people are dealing with being sort of down in work or not being excited with their job or with life in general. It's to take those little accomplishments and hype them up a bit more in your mind so that you can feel better about things. So, yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but yes, anyway.
All right. We'll wrap this up. We got Beer Me number 7. He says, hey, he's got an idea. The Great Minnesota Gamers Get Together. And we already talked about this, that we're going to set up some place to have a little barbecue or something with all the Minnesota gamers, have the Minnesota quota in full effect. He says we should rent out a banquet hall and have a huge LAN party with all our fellow achievement hunters. That might be kind of fun, actually. I mean, maybe we could pull in some other people to come gravitate toward the Twin Cities area. I mean, we're right next door to Idaho, according to Randy. So, I mean, it's like so close to everything because the size of the United States fits in to the state of New York. But anyway, yeah. So at some, keep your eyes out. There will be some type of get together this summer for anyone in the Midwest who wants to make a trip to Minneapolis. We'll put something together. It's not going to be extravagant or awesome, but I mean, it'll be awesome, but it won't be extravagant.
Yeah, you might want to liaise with the Achievement Fest guys about that as well, because they have a yearly,
I'm not going to Indiana.
I know you're not going there. I'm just for setup and maybe discussion on planning. That's all.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. That's right, because that's it's not in Indianapolis, but it's in Indiana, and that's in June. When is that?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember when they host that. It's but yeah, they do their 24-hour thing. That's pretty darn cool as well. And then we got a slew. Okay, so I got an email from Tatey. I don't know if you guys saw that. And then on my friend feed as well from Keith 271179, McLovin Legend, and Buffs. And although I don't think Buffs is part of this, they're saying Titanfall 360. Now, you may not be familiar with what this means, but you know that the UK team is already done. They finished, actually, and you just, they're trying to help you out, although you're not going to do it this time. He says, look, he's been hanging out. So Tatey, Buck Marley, and McLovin and Keith are saying, all right, we decided that this is what we're going to do. That the UK Titanfall people are so much better and more efficient at Titanfall than we are, that they with Joe they're gonna challenge us to who can complete Titanfall first. So they're done with the 1 version. They're gonna go back and finish the 360 version before our crew can finish the 1 version that we're already almost done with. That's his challenge to us.
That seems unfair. That seems unfair because we have L. So I don't know if that really is. No, I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
You can't pull the trigger on a gun. I just saying. I
don't know. It's a slightly larger group, though. I mean, to be fair,
it is much larger. It is much larger. We're all working together. I think we've got this renewed energy, though, where we kind of have a focus and understanding of what we need to do. Hopefully, we can stay on track then. It's on, Tatey. I'm just saying it right now. It's on. We will accept your challenge and do our best.
Let's do it.
I can't promise I can actually finish it, but hey, I've actually been working on Titanfall this week outside of the session because I missed the session. I was so sick on Thursday night. I actually missed the session, but I've been working on Frontier Defense, trying to level up. I hit Gen 4 this week. So take that, Tatey. I'm working extra credit hours. And our final thing here to mention in feedback, or at least as far as feedback goes, is Rocker Dude 5012. He says, "Do you guys talk about Chin Doctor being like this crazy random to-do list machine?" He says, I've unlocked 10 and I'm on the second of and he's unlocked 10 by that morning, and he's only on his second on day 3. That dude's a machine.
He is a monster. I'm
glad
he's on my GTASC team.
For sure. I'm actually doing pretty well myself. I'm up to 5.
Yeah, what's going on, Freem? You've you bolted out of the stocks there this week. It was
the perfect storm of being a Wednesday and not having a gaming session on Wednesday night, and I'm like, hey, I got some low hanging fruit here. I'm just gonna pick these things off, and bada bing, bada boom. I got some of these these achievements that weren't terribly difficult to do, they're just sitting there on my one, ready to go. So I got still. I mean, there's still more on my list. I've got 13 that I'm eyeballing. So I'm hoping I can get up to 13. We'll see. That'll be at my high water mark. I think 6 is my high water mark so far, so I'm dangerously close to that.
Nice.
So now that we got Damien back, hey, why don't we double back and say, Damien, what was your win of the week last week?
My win of the week last week.
Your best achievement.
Well,
what do you have?
It was actually the name of the achievement is Completionist. On the Harvest for Windows 8. So the Harvest was a action RPG-ish type game. Came out for the phone as well as the tablet. The tablet version had 5 characters, phone version had 3, and you basically go through 4 acts, and long story short, alien things going on, and you have to go through the game as a character, and you level them up, you get equipment, and beat bosses. So Completionist, you actually have to beat the game with all 5 character classes. However, it's a very not glitchy, but I guess it is glitchy in the sense that I went through as all 5 characters and it didn't unlock for me the first time. And what has to happen is you almost have to go and play through as all 5 characters without closing the game is what some of the solutions say, which I did that, didn't work. And I was thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to start playing through the full game again with each character. But turned it on last night, and I beat the end boss. You can load checkpoints, so I just loaded the last checkpoint. It takes about 5 minutes to beat the boss, and Completionist popped. And then so I'm done. Game's done. So it was a nice... it was that happy finish that I could uninstall it from the tablet and go back to playing Assassin's Creed.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Okay, well, we'll move into some news, but I do want to take this moment, and there's no great transition here, but I want to take, because he's a valuable member of our community, and I want to just let Nerve Bullet out in Bahrain. I want to let him know that we are thinking of him. He had, prior to the Titanfall session this week, his uncle went to the emergency room with some brain hemorrhaging, and it's not looking great. He's in a coma right now, and so our thoughts and prayers are with you, Nerve, and your family. So hopefully everything turns out okay, and we're thinking about you. We can't wait to get you back into the group, and so best of luck with everything you're going through. And if you need anything, reach out. We're here for you. Just want to take a moment to say that. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's move into some news. It's been a busy week, actually. There's been a lot going on. Let's start with Deus Ex. This is pretty remarkable that it's a publicly traded company, so I guess it was going to come out anyway. But Deus Ex is officially on hold. Square Enix says that this franchise is going on hiatus. They're, granted now Square, and I'm sure this came up because of their marketing deal with Marvel. That Square Enix and Marvel obviously partnered together for all the upcoming Avengers game and the series of games. And so they're like, hey, what's going on with Deus Ex? And they're like, okay, well, according to Eurogamer, he says, the series is kind of, we're just gonna put it on hold until maybe people like it again. He's like, we're gonna expand that universe, maybe create some new content for Mankind Divided, but most of our focus with Crystal Dynamics is going to be over at the Marvel game. Is this surprising to anybody? I mean, this game, as excited as people were for the new Deus Ex, and actually, I mean, I think it was relatively well received, from at least critically received. Didn't sell anything. I mean, nobody bought this game, and I'm sure they put a ton of money into it.
I did.
You bought it?
I bought it. I played both
at launch.
I did at launch. Yes, in fact.
I plan to play it. I just have too much else to play at the moment.
Yeah, I played both
of it.
I played both Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, and enjoyed both games tremendously. But am super excited about this collaboration of Square, who isn't my favorite developer of all time, but now includes this company as well, with Marvel. So yeah, let's get some, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk fun with this developer. I'm okay with them. Both of those games were fun and great. I really enjoyed them. Yeah. Let's put Deus Ex on the back burner. Let's get some fun Marvel games going. I'm excited. I'm excited about the future.
I'm not terribly surprised about the move. Deus Ex feels like one of those games that just needs to come out and then rest for a while before they come up with another version. It's not really a game that I think should be released every year or every couple of years. It's not quite that kind of game. So yeah, it certainly doesn't surprise me that they're sort of giving it a rest, because I thought that was exactly what they would do with it. Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you look at other franchises that have done similar things, I think not to say Deus Ex was a bad game, but I don't think, again, the sales numbers were there that they would expect, that if they're going to go, hey, if I'm going to put resources towards that, or, you think, honestly, because when I think Square Enix and Marvel, because of their relationship with Disney, I think of the biggest Square Enix Disney cross collaboration of Kingdom Hearts, and the way that's sold. If I was a company, that's where I'm putting my resources. Just that other thing, it can wait. Fine. Yeah. It's our IP. And with Marvel, and right now the attention that comics are getting in that, they
Absolutely.
know, if don't mess this one up, because that can submit you for the next few years, to make sure, you know what I mean? So.
Well, especially considering how much Square needed to recoup in terms of Final Fantasy money for that thing to be profitable. They're already, again, I don't think this is out of desperation that they're making this move with Marvel, but I think it was just such a sweet pot, and knowing that there's this steady stream of income from this collaboration, and having 8 games or something obscene, 5 games, I don't remember what the number was, but they got to be looking at that saying, oh man, that's we can punch these things out instead of spending 10 years on the next Final Fantasy game and having it needing to sell 10 million copies just before we get to put $1 in our pocket.
Now do they only have the Disney Marvel, or do they have the ones that Universal has too? Because Avengers is Disney.
Only the Disney. Only the Disney.
Okay.
So I think that's the case, because they're talking about the cinematic universe. Because there was that thing issue with the Marvel versus Capcom that's coming out. And that they've changed Marvel versus Capcom to be related to the MCU, which precludes then, the X-Men, Magneto, right, Wolverine, right? So you won't see those characters in the new Marvel versus Capcom. And so my guess is that that's the same type of deal promoting the MCU that they've got with Square Enix. That's just
yes, because they're based on the whole thing was that they're based on the Avengers films.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course not. You're not going to see the X-Men. You're not going to see. Maybe I don't think you'll see Fantastic Four either. Based on the teaser that was given, it's just going to be the straight MCU characters.
Yeah,
because Fantastic Four, that's with Universal. right?
No, Fantastic Four is with Fox as well. Still,
Fox,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was an
Fox has
atrocious
ruined all
movie.
those. It was really bad, wasn't it? Oh,
it was
man.
awful. It's on a
Four
plane.
stick. Yeah. We less said about that, the better.
There you go. Then let's move on. So Oculus Rift.
Oh boy.
Guys, they gotta pay some cash here. A Dallas jury has said that Zenimax indeed is awarded $500 million because Palmer Luckey, co-founder Palmer Luckey, failed to comply with a non-disclosure agreement. Now, the jury did say that they did not misappropriate trade secrets. So it's kind of weird. It's like, we find you guilty, but you didn't take ZeniMax's trade secrets, but you're guilty. So they're ultimately appealing that because they're like, well, you've kind of found in our favor, but now you're making us pay anyway. Ultimately what it is so Oculus, the company, has to pay $200 million for breaking the NDA, $50 million for copyright infringement. Oculus, the company, and Palmer Luckey himself have to pay $50 million for false designation, and then the former CEO Brendan Uribe has to pay $150 million for the same types of things. That's how his breaks out. So that all adds up to $500 million. Oh boy, that's a pretty penny.
Yeah. I kind of wondered if, assuming that ruling stands, whether that's going to be the end of Oculus. It's a lot of money. But yeah, I guess we'll see. They've got Facebook backing, of course, but it's just a lot of money. And
yeah, I totally agree. And so, what does ZeniMax do? They go out and buy a studio. We got all this money. Let's go spend it. Woo!
Yeah, I'm sure. That's exactly.
I think it was actually probably just a better fit, but they went out and purchased Escalation Studios, and really this kind of was already an extension of ZeniMax. This studio was the one that worked on the Doom multiplayer stuff. So they had done all the Doom multiplayer, and they're just like, hey, you know what? Why don't you just come on in here? Now, what that does mean is they might be able to kind of be an independent studio working on a project in and of themselves, and not like, hey, could you just help out with this? Why don't you, here you go, take this new IP or, do whatever and make your own project out of it. So, I mean, that's good, right? That we might get some new games out of this group, but there you go. Another ZeniMax gobbles up, and maybe we can look forward to something at Bethesda's next conference. What they might have tasked Escalation to work on. We'll see. And in another acquisition, Take Two, the parent company of Rockstar, of course, they went out and scooped up. They paid $250 million to buy a mobile game developer. The game developer, their big claim to fame are the games Monster Legends and Dragon City. I think that this GameSpot article says 180 million downloads between those two properties, and so the company's called Social Point, and now they're I don't know what this means for integration for their games or how 2K is going to use this, or if they're going to keep this as an independent studio and just help supplement with what their existing products are, or they're going to tie it into their current portfolio of games. I don't know. But it's interesting from a gaming perspective. Again, hopefully we can start to get more of these games that actually have Xbox achievements that you can tie. Not that I think Take Two is going to do this here, but man, the popularity of mobile games, and I don't necessarily like it as a port from mobile to Xbox. I would like to have Xbox move into the mobile space with how powerful phones and stuff are getting. But we'll see. I mean, the news just broke this week, and I think by the time this show airs, Fallout Shelter is going to be on Xbox One.
Yeah, which is interesting.
And for free. I heard it's free. So achievements, free game, super fun. Yeah, sign me up. That sounds awesome.
Have you played Fallout Shelter before?
I did. So I know it's changed a ton, but I maxed it out that first, when it came out that summer before Fallout 4's launch, was that 2 years ago? I played it from June when it came. I guess I had an Android device, so it didn't come out till July. And I played it from July through September, so about 3 months. And I almost maxed out so when you get up to 100 settlers, that's kind of like, that's like goal number one. If you get to that, and then the next one is at like 200, and at that time that maxed out your vault. At 200, you opened up the Nuka-Cola factory, and that was everything you could unlock. And so I was at like 147 vault dwellers, and I'm like, okay, it's just so repetitive right now. I'm just done. But they went nuts after that because they've had like holidays, they've done all sorts of they have like quests and different things you can go on. I'm very curious what the achievement list is going to look like, because they can do a lot with it, even though it's such a simplified game.
Yeah, do you think they'll include micro transactions for some of that stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what funded it before, is all the lunch boxes, and you could get different weapons. You could get Mr. Handies. You could get all sorts of things that made life easier.
Never played it,
when the news first broke, I was excited. I'm like, is my Android or /iOS kind of activity going to kind of contribute to these achievements? No.
Oh, importing saves? That would be awesome.
Of course.
Not going to happen, though? Man.
Not going to happen. You have to play it on the Xbox One or Windows 10 device. So, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey,
it just sucks to start over.
I did hear that it's probably going to be a cross-play sort of thing, so you can actually pick it up where you left off on Windows 10 and pick it up on your Xbox
One.
Yeah.
Between those two platforms, yeah. But for those of us who have actually put a lot of hours into that game already, you got to start over. Which is fine. It sucks, It's one of those times where it's just a different platform, and hopefully we'll figure that out in the future. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, there's a very brief little nugget here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ekim on Twitter. He is one of the most popular Windows leaks that we have out there, and he has been recently tweeting a day before Major Nelson announces the backwards compatible games. So people were getting knowledge of them the day before, and he would tweet it out, and every single time he was correct. Mm-hmm. So he actually he made a post. He got shut down. Well, his source did. His tweet said, "Source shut down. No more leaks until I don't know. Sorry, sad face." So whomever Ekim was working through, either got found out, fired, caught, whatever. But that's that source is dried up. That's too bad. But you know what? We have to wait one more day.
Oof. I don't know if I can do that.
Man,
we'll cope.
Yeah.
I'm out, guys. I'm out.
We've got
giving up Gamer Score.
I'm going to PlayStation 4. That's it.
I've got two topics here that I think do deserve a little bit more time that we need to talk about here. And the first one is the leak, or I guess some of the intrepid importers who dove into this, the GameStop Circle of Life program. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Circle of Life program, it is what they call, they essentially set up a percentage-based quota system for employees. And so each store gets a different percentage on how they should be selling things. And so it's built on 4 tiers. 1 is pre-orders. 2 is reward card subscriptions, so your pro. 3 is used game sales, and 4 is your game trade-ins, right? And so the idea, obviously, is people buy a pre-owned game, they play it, they come back, they get their reward. They're a pro member, so they get maximum trade-in value. They trade in their game, and then they buy a new used game, and that's their little Circle of Life thing. And so makes sense, right? That's great. Perfect. Well, here's the problem is in a given week, what was ended up happening is, let's say somebody came in and bought, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I want to buy 5 brand new games, right? So, hey, I got $300. Here we go. Let's do this. they'd run the transaction, and that would actually go against their quota because they're selling new games instead of their pre-owned games, and so the percentages shifted, and that looked negatively on those employees because they weren't balancing out and selling used games. So then, what has been reported is that some of these employees would then say, if somebody came in and was like, "Hey, do you have the new Watch Dogs game?" They would actually say, "No, I'm afraid not. We sold out. But we have a pre-owned copy over here. So maybe that's something you could do." Or what I've seen is because obviously the publishers have sales. Ubisoft does it all the time. Bethesda, EA, right? They drop prices on their games real quick. So it's they got a sale here for Madden for $20. Do you have a copy of it for new? And they're like, no, actually we're all out. But I have a pre-owned copy here for $40. And so there you go. And so people, of course, they've got stock in the back, but they were just encouraging people to push for the used games, push to balance things out. This is disgusting. All right, so Damien, let me know, what do you think of this?
Well, so part of me is I'm not surprised. Now, I preface this by saying I'm in sales, so I understand where people on high get these ideas of, hey, this is going to be your mandatory margin mix, so to speak, right? And you're going to sell X. And when you're down in the trenches, right, the actual sales guys, you sit here and going, I'm going to sell what my customers want. But at the same note, if you sit there and your job's on the line and that you're facing not working versus, doing this, you're going, it's just, is GameStop a place I personally want to do business with? And the thing is, though, they lost my business a long time ago, though. I mean, I go to Amazon. Honestly,
right.
If I want to buy stuff new and find it for, good price, I'm using things like Six Deals. I find GameStop's a mean to an end. I mean, they give you low price for buying back your used games. They'll sell a used copy of a new game for literally not much less than what you could just buy it.
Right.
Just on that, I think I put a screenshot of it in the Discord server a little while ago. But I was looking for a copy of Just Dance 2016, and I was looking at the pre-owned copy and the new copy. And the new copy at EB Games, which is GameStop in Australia, was something like the new copy was $40, I think, and the pre-owned copy was $59.95. And I sort of went, what?
Yeah. Right?
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, no. And now, don't get me wrong. There's at times that I liked GameStop. I found one when I was in Munich, and I went there and bought a bunch of the DE, released only games for Xbox 360. And the guys there, super helpful, went in back, found me really nice, the metal casing BioShock version. So, it was like, hey, I'm not to say that there aren't good people working at GameStop, and there are times that buying used games for when they're older and all that, it makes sense. But from a general, are they my default go-to place for getting games? No. And I mean, these kinds of practices, though, is just kind of, this is why, because this is at the end of the day where people would like to say I just feel like they're kind of sketchy in their business nature. This just really just confirms it, going, no, this is their business model.
I think as a whole, it's not really the people. Generally, the people that actually work in the company or work in the shop front, generally they're there because they love games and they want to, further that industry. Yeah. But the company as a whole, I've seen stories like this out of EB Games and GameStop many times now, and it's just really kind of arrogant and shoddy kind of business model that they try and push. And I guess that's, you kind of wonder though, if they didn't do that, whether the store would even exist, whether they'd actually have whether a shopfront like that would even exist. We had another storefront like that in Australia that shut up shop. They just couldn't keep running.
Yeah.
So there's possibly just not a lot of money in physical games, and that's the way that they make up that kind of that difference. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a quandary, because I mean, if we lose that, then we lose a physical storefront. And yeah, I guess that's just the way things are going.
Absolutely, and it could be tough for people to get games.
Yeah, but you hit on the head though. It's not profitable to sell new games, but it's when you purposefully avoid selling it because based on like a metrics, like a mix, right? Like because like selling new, especially when you look at hardware sales, right? If somebody goes in and buys think of when Scorpio comes out. If people are going to GameStop to go buy, a bunch of brand new Scorpios on launch that they didn't pre-buy, that's going to shoot up your hardware number. They're not going to make a ton of money on it. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't look at the guy that's, sitting there behind the counter. Like that's his fault that people are coming in and buying new hardware, but he is getting penalized for it. That's the part that's,
Yeah, that's really, penalizing your customers just because of penalizing your employees because of a customer's buying habits because there's something new might have come out that week. That is really poor. And and
I know there's been a few other articles kind of in this vein, and I'm curious. I unfortunately didn't read those, so I wish I, had a little bit more background. But like, is this just a scenario where there's like, Gomer behind the desk is like, well, they just said, that I got to do 25, 25, 25, 25, and they're mad when I don't do that. And so, if I sell too many new games, I got to sell. And like, he misconstrued, like, this might be their tenant, but like, did they just misconstrue, like, no, absolutely, you'll be fired if you don't, you don't push pre-owned games more? Because, kind of what you said earlier, Damien, and it might have been off show, was, if your customer doesn't want, like, I don't like pre-owned games. I want to buy new. So if I go to GameStop, because I don't know why I'm there in the first place, probably because I trade in somebody else's, like some PlayStation games that somebody gave me or something. I don't know. But if I go there and I'm like, I want a new copy of something on sale, and he says, no, but I got a used copy, I'd be like, yeah, you can shove that news copy, right up. Because I'm not going to buy it. I don't want it. I want a new copy. So it doesn't matter. Maybe if I was on it, if I didn't know any better, and maybe it was like somebody's mom comes in, it's like, oh, here's a storefront, and this is great. I feel more comfortable in a retail setting, and the guy behind the counter said this was the game that everyone wants, and I come home with Lee Trevino's Golf, like.
You have to recognize that this is not GameStop's EB Games, whatever. That's not their model. Their model is to sell you pre-owned games.
Right.
Period. That is full stop. That's it. That's the end. That's what their model has been for the last 10 years, 10 years now. I mean, it's just the way it is. That is what they thrive on. They don't make money on selling you new games. They don't make money on selling you new anything. So this is not This is only surprising if you've been living under a rock. So,
but they make some money. They just don't make as much money. I mean, you would think if you got volumes of people coming in because you had such awesome events at launch. Like, people wanted to come to your launch events because you know what? It was such a fun community, and we had all these new games. If you got people coming in the door, and then maybe you could upsell. Hey, we got Watch Dogs here. Did you play the old one? Because we got a used copy of that for $15 over here. Did you play the first one? Or oh my gosh, yeah, Madden 2017. My favorite was Madden the 25th anniversary edition. You want to pick that one up? I got this for upsell them on something. Get them in the freaking door.
It's such a perfect example because if you've been to a GameStop midnight
they don't give
event,
a crap, yeah.
If you've been there, you know that's exactly what. Oh, by the way, did you know that Call of Duty, Black Ops 17 is coming out next week? Would you like to put your pre-order, which you probably won't cash in on, but we could kind of live off of that? Would you like to put that money down now? And then, would you like to trade in your games for this new game that's coming out tonight? it's never been about that experience. I mean, it has provided that experience for those of us who have been in that situation. But it's always, I mean, as far back as you can remember, it's always been about trading in and cashing in on pre-orders. It's always been about that. And if you haven't wisened up to that yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want and you're into that, that's okay. But it's if you haven't wisened up to that yet, you need to realize that's exactly what's happening here. And so it's like, this situation should not be surprising. This is their business practice boiled down to its essential parts.
Yeah. To me, it comes off as an employee who is kind of dumb and doesn't get it. Because if you told me, you're going to have 1,000 customers come in, and if 80% of them want to buy new games, you're going to be in trouble if you don't sell them unused games. It's like, no, you want those customers in the door and make it a great experience for them. I mean, Damien, you're in sales. Like, you make the customer happy, and if you can add and bring additional value to that, hey, here's a storefront. You know what? When you're done with that brand new game, bring it back. You can sell it back to us, and you know what? We'll get you. Hey, did you hear all these new backwards compatible titles? We have copies of them over here. You can just plug them right in your, again, that's just being a good salesperson. You're not to be misleading and say, oh yeah, no, we don't have any of those copies, because then you run the risk of that person walking out the door and going across the street to Target or Walmart or wherever and buying the game somewhere else. Like, don't give people a reason to leave.
If you're the employee in that situation and you're going to get your pay, like you're not going to hit your bonus or hit your target or something like that, and it's more in your interest to push that pre-owned, you'd rather not get that sale of the new item at all and push the pre-owned because it is more beneficial to you as the person, the employee there, then you're probably going to do that because the incentive is there to do that. And it doesn't really matter what's best for the company in that situation. And the company itself might lose their $5, or what would say they might get a 5% on margin on a new thing. They lose that 5% margin for the chance of getting their 30% margin on the pre-owned. So it's sort of it really depends how it balances out. And you might lose 3 new sales, but you get that one pre-owned, and that's worth more to the company just because of the margin. So, and I understand the practice, but the thing is, it's pretty
gross.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find a good word for it, but it's really it is
dishonest.
Essentially where it's where the bad parts of capitalism, I guess.
Yep, it's dishonesty. I mean, you call it for what it is. That's what it is. It's dishonesty, and you are in effect cheating the customer in a lot of ways, and it's unfortunate. But that's if you're incentivizing people to essentially, like, you're putting their livelihood on the line to push this pre-owned, I don't want to say agenda,
mantra.
It is what it is. You are putting the company's the bottom line above everything else, and I guess that is the point of a company, I guess. But there are ways.
Yeah, because that's where you're really in essence going is, and Tarragon said it, there's the companies that don't do this, and they don't survive in this modern economy. The idea is, if I'm going to go buy a new game and the retail price is $59.99 MSRP, what margin do you think these retailers get on that? Do you think they're making 30% on a new sale on a $59.99 title?
It's like 15% at best.
At best, I bet you it's even less than that. I bet you on new it's like a 5% margin, and that's not even going to pay to keep the lights on. So the thing is, if all they were doing was pushing through new sales and all that, they close shop. They don't stay in business doing that. So part of this is that, this is what GameStop needs to survive. If it wants to continue to have brick and mortar stores that are profitable because don't forget, they hold inventory. They buy back all these used games that they have to sit on and hopefully churn around. I mean, yes, there's the amount of markup they put on it is outrageous, and everybody, this is the dawn of the internet, right? I want access to all media, but I don't want to pay a red cent for it. Even though all these other people somehow, want to be able to go home to a house, feed their kids, put gas in the car.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, there is part of that. Yeah, capitalism is a big bad thing. And when you're a teenager growing up, this is that harder reality of what you learn is like, oh my gosh, you mean that there's this whole money thing that's, greasing the wheels. Yeah. But part of the problem, though, is, again, where you see it, like as I said, if it was just GameStop telling their employees, this is your mix of you should be selling this amount of used, this amount of, something, that's fine. That's how you stay in business. What bothers me being in sales is when you start seeing it to where, and if you don't make these targets, you're going to be adversely penalized. It's like saying, I get a quota. That's fine. My quota is based off of what my customer did the year prior. Now, the thing is, does everybody replace what they bought last year with something this year? No. How long have you had your computer frame?
Too long. Since 2006. I think it's 10.
Oh, wait. You mean you don't buy, if you bought a computer this year, you're not going to replace that computer next year?
Apparently not. No. But my quota would be if I was to sell to just the free, if I sold you a computer last year, they're going to be, well, you're going to sell them one this year. And it's like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like, so in terms of the sales reward, it's like, okay, well, if I made it the 1 year and you're like, hey, you exceed your quota, yay, that's great. And then the next year, it's like, okay, hey, you didn't sell as much to them because they just replaced everything. You miss. Oh, okay. But it's when you start taking it and now they put merit behind that number all of a sudden where they're going,
right.
Oh, you blew it out. You're awesome at your job. Yeah. And then the next year, oh, you missed it. Now you suck. And you're going, well,
right.
No, because and then that's where you detach it. And then what happens is your employees don't suddenly like working there because they're now working for a company that really doesn't care about their well-being at times. I mean, it does in the sense that, hey, we want you to make enough margin so we can stay in business to keep you employed. But it's more of a, you know what? We care more about keeping the company around versus making you feel good about working here. If it's like company comes first, you as the employee are a good second. No, actually shareholders come first. Okay, you're third. Well, executives. Okay, you're fourth. Okay, you're like seventh. And then that's what happens. You go in and you deal with these employees that hate working for this place, and you come in going, I already don't like GameStop, and so you both almost there together going, can I interest you in pre-buying this? No, go F off. Yeah, that's what I figured.
That's about right. I mean, so, all right, this is all in the light now, right? So Kotaku kind of, I think, broke it, and it's been going everywhere. Clearly, I mean, they've reached out to GameStop and have asked for a comment. They've said they've made some comments, but nothing to refute or anything that's going on. Essentially, these are this is company memos. It's internal business. Blah 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 blah. Now that it is out there, right? What do you think is going to change? Because ultimately, I mean, let's try to help GameStop, because the way I'm looking at it is, we've laid out the plan. They need to sell used games, right? So how do you encourage your employees to sell used games? Incentivize them, right? Give them bonuses for moving pre-owned games. We want every customer to come in and buy a game, and if our margins are garbage on new games, fine. But if you can hit X% with pre-owned games, I mean, and then maybe we'll give you a bonus instead of threatening people's jobs and stuff. You're kind of doing the same thing, and maybe those employees would be dishonest in that scenario too. It's entirely possible, because now they want to put a little bit more money in their pocket. But at least in that instance, you're not handcuffing people to be dishonest. If they're dishonest, it's the employee's own inability to upsell somebody, and they're choosing to be dishonest on their own, versus a punishment for not reaching their quota.
Here's maybe a slightly radical idea. Maybe GameStop should just never hold new stock. If you want new stock, a new game, you need to go in and order it. And they will go and get that copy for you, but it will take a couple of days. And everything that they have is pre-owned. So if pre-owned is where they make their money, then, you can have it right now, but it'll be a pre-owned copy, or we'll order it in for you and it'll be X. And that makes pre-ordering more important
Right.
So people are more incentivized to pre-order. It's just whether or not the market would accept that kind of thing.
It's pretty clever. I like it. You could say, we order for you. We'll ship it right to your house. But you come in, you order it, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe you get rewards points for it. It's pretty clever.
Man,
I like that idea.
It seems like a tough sell, though. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, why? Why should I why would I go into an Amazon store when I can go onto Amazon.com? Like, if that is the advantage that GameStop has.
Well, the good thing is that the GameStop, the advantage there would be that you could walk out with a copy of the game right now. It'll just be pre-owned. So, whereas Amazon, you'll have to wait for it to be shipped.
And you're 14 years old. You're 14 years old, and you don't have a credit card, so you can't get on Amazon.
Yeah. What about Target?
You got to pay cash.
Best Buy.
Yeah, but then you're competing with the other storefronts that have new games. So I guess that's the issue. They need to keep new games in order to be competitive with those, because if otherwise people will just walk across the road and go to another store.
I mean, the other thing they've recently done is promote the heck out of their retro consoles. I mean, I saw Sega Genesis, I saw classic Nintendos, Super Nintendos. I mean, they were pushing, like they're doing the buyback program on those because they were so popular. And I mean, my guess is I could walk into a GameStop and go buy an old Master System if I really wanted. It would cost me a ton, but I'm paying nostalgia prices now. Who knows how long it would work for, but I bet the margins on those things are fantastic. You can probably get those for 35 cents at a garage sale.
Yeah, good luck nowadays. Master System's going to run you about 80.
Yeah.
So I still have my Master System downstairs. It works, but nice. You're not finding them.
An interesting question would be to everybody on the show is, where do you buy your new games?
Digital marketplace.
If it's not, where do you buy your physical new games? Best Buy would be up there for me as well.
Best Buy, because of the Gamers Club
Amazon.
Unlocked.
Yep.
Target clearance.
Yeah, for as me in Australia, it would surprisingly it'd be a toss up between EB Games, just because they're one of the few that actually exist here to do that kind of thing in the storefront. So EB Games, JV Hi-Fi, you'd see which one of those is cheapest, and sometimes Target. Also, they will have the cheapest price on release day. So, yeah, it sort of depends. And you can often price match and use that for like your rewards points and things like that with EB Games. So, it depends. I haven't done that for a while, though.
Yeah, I think, Gamers Club Unlocked with Best Buy is, I mean, it's such a fantastic deal. It's like, $30 a year, and you get 20% off on any physical media. And so, if you get a deal of the day or something, I mean, they had friggin' Evolve for like $6 today. I was like, oh, geez, Louise, $6? You gotta be kidding me. So yeah, Best Buy is usually my jam. But all right, well, let's. Okay, so we don't go to GameStop. We think I didn't like GameStop to begin with. They're kind of gross, but. Here it is. This is what's out there. We'll see what they respond with, and determine if maybe they can right the ship, maybe they can figure something out. But why don't we move on? All right. So last piece of news here that I want to talk about is it's just awful. It's the Muslim ban that President Trump has kind of put in, and it's affecting the games industry. As of course, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. I mean, people talking about it everywhere. It just pains me. It's so disgusting. It just pains me. And so I don't really want to get into it because I will probably end up saying some things that I'm totally going to regret. I want everyone to be aware of it. There's so many other mediums that are discussing it. The main thing, there is a company, and so Devolver, one of the publishers for the Games Developer Conference that's coming up here, they are actually they're stepping up, and they're going to host games from people in the countries that are affected by this. They'll showcase their games at the Games Developer Conference for them, if they can't come to the United States themselves, to fear that they can't leave, they can't come in, and whatever. I want to bring it, just mention it. It is in the news this week, but us as a show, we're gonna steer right clear of this thing, because this is a monster, and I'm not terribly happy about it. So let's move on to happier topics like knobs and discos. Oh man, what? That's not happy. Are you kidding? Now let's talk about gaming instead. We'll get to knobs and discos later because that's terrible news. Let's talk about what was the fun stuff that we actually did. All right, we like games. Tarragon, what'd you end up doing this last week, like in real gaming?
Right. Well, I took a quick trip over to the US and managed to get an achievement in that unreleased copy of Max: The Curse of Brotherhood, which was kind of nice. I finished off Silvio, which I mentioned earlier, so 9th on TA, which I was pretty happy about, particularly with the Xbox outage. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, still quite enjoying that game. Just slowly working through the story and doing the various side things that they've got in that. I picked up a game I've been meaning to play for a while this week called Virginia.
Yeah,
it's essentially a cinematic experience / walking simulator, whatever you want to call it. But it's the name is actually Virginia, as in the state. So, and it's basically you're an FBI agent in the game. So it's Langley, Virginia is the reference.
There's no dialogue in that game.
No, it's completely dialogueless. I was going to say that. It's quite intriguing the way it's been done. So the whole thing's set with just, it's all inference and you read. So there's some reading that you do, but there's absolutely zero dialogue. And it's an interesting story, and it's a bit surreal in points as well. It's been compared to Twin Peaks or some of sort of David Lynch's work. Not quite as deeply surreal, but it's certainly got elements of that. And the story, you kind of get to the end and just go, "What?" I'm not sure what happened there, but
one of the amazing things so on Game Informer, their podcast, they kind of talked about this game, and they were shocked by the use of jump cuts. Did that stand out to you at all? Because essentially, it's moving to somewhere else with no load screens.
It did a little bit, but it only was a bit shocking at the beginning, just because you're not expecting it. But then you think of it as if it was a cinematic kind of cinematic thing, then that would make absolute sense, because in a movie they would just jump to the next bit. You're not expected to walk the entire length of a stairwell, or you're not expected to walk the entire length of a hallway. So there are a few, but you get used to that pretty quickly. So it was just a different take on getting rid of the kind of the tedium of moving around in some situations.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's definitely an interesting title if you like that kind of cinematic experience. The achievements in it are a little bit odd, as in you can, at certain points, you can interact with things or find certain things. There are a number of collectibles and things like that, and they're not terribly obvious. So there are some good guides in the forums on True Achievements. There's no good walkthrough on True Achievements, but there is a couple of posts which give you a good roadmap on how to get all of the achievements. So I recommend taking a look at those.
I'm sure it's in the works. It'll come out soon.
Yeah. But I would say that you'd be better just to jump into it. Again, if you like this style of game, jump into it blind and just play through it. Don't risk spoiling any of it for yourself, and then do a cleanup run on your second playthrough.
Is it short? How long is the game? How long is the experience?
I think I got through the entire thing in about 3 hours from start to finish. Okay. So I did it all in one sitting. So it was about 2 to 3 hours, I think, just going through it. So it's probably sort of movie length kind of feeling. It was quite good, quite fun. And obviously, the other thing to note about it as well is it does have odd numbered achievements. So if those things bug you, stay away from it. However, the achievements are not particularly difficult, so cleaning up the full 1K is not going to be a problem. In fact, I'm probably going to be using some of those odd achievements to work on the GTA SC bonus this period, because we need to get a kind of odd number to make that up for the 2017 bonus. Yeah,
I can't game after this show. Because we're already locked in on our thing, and what am I going to do?
Yeah, I've been a bit like that this weekend. I've kind of I can't put points on, because if I do, then we'll go over. So anyway,
but I guess in theory I can put up 2017 gamer score.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Totally
what else you been
in
working
a
on?
few hours. Elite Dangerous, as always, but I've kind of knuckled down a bit this week. I'm getting a bit sick of being out in the blackness of space, and there's a lot of stuff, interesting stuff going back back in the bubble. So I probably did about 8,000 light years this week, and I'm only 7,000 away from Sol, so I should be getting back to the bubble this week, hopefully.
What happens when you get back? Do you get to just drop off a bunch of stuff, or do you...
Yeah, I get to hand in all my exploration data, which means I also get credit for new discoveries, which means anything that I found out there that I was the first to see, I get my name on permanently in the game.
Nice.
So when other people go and find that and look at it, it will say discovered by me, which is kind of cool. And that's actually shared across PC as well. So it's the entire universe. And once I get back, then I can resume sort of trading and looking at player factions, which we discussed earlier. So that's my next kind of goal there. For GTA SC, I did sort of want to pull out some points just to make sure we got through, and that's Minecraft. I had a title updating Minecraft on Windows 10 I hadn't actually used yet. That's not the brand new one. I'll just actually put a side note on that. The brand new DLC, the brand new title updates that came out for Minecraft, I've seen a lot of teams in GTA SC are basically going through and popping all of the achievements in the brand new title updates, except that those things have ridiculous ratios in the order of like 60 and 70 ratios, which means you've got teams at the top there with 30,000 points of TA just because they've been popping all of these achievements. The problem with that is ratio decay, which means those achievements will decay pretty rapidly. But let's say one of the achievements was worth 25,000 TA. That might have dropped to 13,000 TA by the time the cutoff comes around. But then it's going to keep dropping in the next period, which means you're going into the negative by thousands of TA. So I'll be interested to see the carnage next week when a bunch of those teams that
I'm so excited for it.
So yeah, there'll be a number of teams I think that'll be sitting in the high negatives because of ratio decay on Minecraft. It'll be interesting. So I've been warning my team basically to stay away from those, and I'm sure other teams are doing that too that have experienced this particular thing before. But I think Project Spark was the big one last year,
for sure.
Or maybe the year before, where they did a bunch of changes on the achievements and the ratios just dropped like a stone. Besides that, just been doing a little bit of boosting on Titanfall last weekend, but not a lot of progress there. I'm still working on. Basically, I've trying to get all the hardware, and all I need for that is to kill specters. Basically, every single weapon, I just need specter kills, which is kind of frustrating. And that's pretty much all I want to do is just get all the hardware, do my regen, and I'll probably say I'm done with that game because the rest of the UK team are pretty much done, and I'm sick of holding them up. And I ended up starting The Deer God, which popped up on my random to-do list. So, which is an interesting game, to say the least. Not sure.
Took me a little while to figure out. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
At first, because it kind of feels like an endless runner, but then there's a rhythm to. I don't know, it's just strange.
It's an odd game, isn't it? It's kind of, it's got sort of set events, but it's also just completely random in points, and you sort of, it's just a bit of a survival thing going on. I don't actually mind the game, but from what I gather, it is pretty buggy and glitchy as well. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I just popped what I needed to pop in that, and I haven't picked it up since. But and that's about it for me. I'm going to hand over to Spazpol. We did a pre-recording of this, so I'll just hand over to him and then come back.
Hey, thanks, Tarragon. So, actually, it was kind of funny. I had to go look through my list, and I realized I've actually completed 2 games this week, which I'm very happy about. So, going back into that archive that I've been working on, as I mentioned earlier in the year, I actually just completed literally an hour and a half ago the Harvest for Windows 8. What
is that exactly?
So the Harvest was released for Windows Phone and Windows 8, and it's been discontinued for Windows 8. They still have it available for Windows Phone, and it's basically a RPG type game. And on the Windows Phone version, you have 3 characters to choose from. Win 8, you have 5 characters to choose from, and you go through these 4 acts. And as you go through, you battle enemies, you level up, you can equip armor, and basically, it's a
Is it sort of a action-y kind of thing, or is it strategy RPG, or what's the...
It's more of an action-y RPG is the best way I think. So, I mean, you definitely have that. You have to like kind of touch the screen where you want to navigate to go to, because it's all touch-based. You can't use a controller. You can use a mouse to do stuff, but I found it's just easier to have touchscreen to do it. What's annoying about the Harvest is all of the achievements work except for completionist at the end, and it's kind of glitchy. It glitched for me, meaning so when you beat through the game, you unlock all the acts. So what you can do is then for your second character, your third character, and so on and so forth, you can just go and power level the last 2 acts to just keep going back and get the experience. Because if you play through the entire game, it takes like 3 to 4 hours per character to level them all the way up to get through. But if you do the power leveling, you can get each person powered up to 15 to 20 in about an hour and a half each. So what happens is, though, if you do it that way, and then you beat the game, and then you load the last act, and you go and beat the final boss, you might not actually get the achievement to lock on the 5th one. So you have to kind of... And I even ran through all 5 characters and beating the final boss, with each of the 5 characters on the same save without closing the app, and it didn't pop. And so, I was kind of frustrated where I'm like, okay, I might have to actually start running them all through, all 5 acts again. So right before I got on, the podcast, I went and I was like, you know what? I'll just start from the bottom up. I'll pick the first guy, went to Act 5, loaded through, beat the boss, bam, achievement popped. So and it's like completionist, and you're like, yes, and I'm done with this game. Uninstall.
Delete.
Done. So
throw away that phone or that device.
Tablet at this point. Yeah, my older Windows 8, my thicker Windows 8 tablet. And it still runs Windows 8. I'm not on Windows 10 yet, so this one. So I got that done, which was happy. I also completed earlier in the week Tiny Troopers 2, so I was playing that one on Windows Phone. You know what? For some of the garbage that Game Troopers has come out with, I thought the Tiny Trooper games were they're really fun. Granted, they have microtransactions in them that you don't have to do. You can, replay levels over and over again, but I was playing Tiny Troopers 2. I beat Tiny Troopers 1 on Windows Phone. It was great. So I've played through number 2, beat on the phone, good. I find it's good for a streak preserver, right? If I'm on the road and I need to just do kind of like a quick achievement to at least keep my streak going, I like to have one of these types of games. So I still have Tiny Troopers 1 and 2 to do on my tablet, but I got the phone versions done. And then...
Nice.
Yeah. And then for fun games, I'm still doing my dailies in Rayman Legends, which, at least I'm getting gold on most everything now, which is good. So at the rate I'm going, I'm at 5,300 some awesomeness. So I'm figuring I'm getting about 100 awesomeness a week. So I got about 7 more weeks. So about a month and a half, little over a month and a half left of playing Rayman Legends on Xbox One, and then I'll be done with that. Battle Ages, same thing.
You're sure that's fun, right? That's the thing you do for fun.
I actually, I do like skill-based platformers like Rayman. Mm. Like Rayman is one of those games where it's so excellently done that when you mess up on a run, you have no one to blame but your poor button. Or you can sit there,
I was being facetious. It's just sort of a lot of these. Rayman Legends has got a lot of kudos. So it's just anything you have to kind of log on and do daily is a bit of a drag.
Though I do enjoy doing that daily more than I enjoy doing like daily challenges in solitaire.
Yeah, although I don't mind the solitaire ones because that's sort of the toilet break ones. But
WP while pooping.
Yeah.
So, not the other one, because usually then you got a whole... That's hard for the phone. But when you're sitting and pooping, that's what Windows Phone is good for. So then also Battle Ages, I do that one. I'm just kind of grinding through, leveling my guy, or my civilization. Right now I'm trying to get people to attack me and lose so I can get my 250 offensive victories or defensive victories, which it's annoying.
They had something like that. Yeah, they had something like that in a game I was playing. Another one, I think it was a Game Troopers one. Similar concept. You build up your armies.
Battle Islands.
No, it was an older one. I forget the name of it. It's like you have horses and stuff, and it's silly. Anyway, it has a habit of wiping all of your progress every so often as well. So
I had that happen with Battle Ages. I had to email the devs, but they actually were able to reset my data back to where it was. So that's 505 Studios, the makers of Terraria. Thanks, guys, for at least not completely wiping out all of my progress.
Yeah, Game Troopers were not responsive at all to fix this particular issue. I know someone who got stung by that, and I think all they had left was the be attacked and win achievement in that one too.
That stinks. Then we were Batman Telltale, so I'll go into detail on that one in the reviewing
Kingdoms and Lords. Kingdoms and Lords, I think that's the one.
I haven't started that one. I'll avoid it.
Yeah, just don't. The syncing is like the cloud syncing on it's just awful. Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, so Batman Telltale, I'll go into detail in the reviews that. So it's a Telltale game. It's a story with achievements and quick time events, which I'm not really sure if it helps or hinders a story. I guess it makes it so I'm not just watching it passively.
That's almost a spoiler.
Well, I think it's part
spoiler for the review. I mean,
I guess. But I think I've said it before. It's like I just sometimes I wonder, like, if you don't have an arc, do I replay something? But it is what it is. Then I started Gimme 5, so I don't know. For a lot of listeners that are in the forum, they are aware that this has leaderboard achievements. I know Crandy's not on this week, but we had a leaderboard, so Crandy was quick to jump on that one, and you have to be in the top 1,000, very easy to get, and then the top 100. So all of us that were in the forum that day, went out, spent $4.99, bought the game, and, get that top 100 leaderboard achievement before, the leaderboard's now well over 100 people, so good look if you haven't started. Some of the achievements are going to be great.
I wonder if they'll reset that. I wonder if they'll reset the leaderboards. We hope so.
They might. They might not. You never know, right? So you just, that sometimes you just take that risk. If you're a completionist. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's actually kind of fun for a trivia game.
It's just trivia, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah, so you basically are given a question. It's do you remember those what is it when you got to re-sign in that you're validating that you're a human being, those things
the captures.
Yeah, so the ones where they'll sit there and say, pick out all of the ones that have pictures of signs in them, and they'd have so they'll have.
So it's that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's 9 blocks, and you have to pick the 5 that are like I'd have one that said Pokemon characters, and they'd list 5 Pokemon characters and 4 not Pokemon characters, and you basically get 3 mistakes, and so you just kind of keep rushing through. And there's one of the achievements is to get through the 50th question in one playthrough. So you got to get through 50 questions with no mistakes. And once you start getting past like the 5th question, there's stuff where it's like, name 5 books from this author. And you're going, who is that? I don't read. But you can press the back button and Google's your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are always exploits.
Yeah, exactly. That's the nice thing about achievement hunters, right? Where it's like, oh, you want to do this legit?
Nah.
Let's skirt the fine line of what's cheating. Like, I'll actively boost it with 5 people that are willing to let me die, or that are willing to die really easily so I can get enough kills, but I won't use an editor.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
And then the last game that I played was I'm back to working on Dead Rising 2 off the record, so I keep coming.
Which version? The
Xbox One now. So I have the only non-Xbox One Dead Rising I haven't completed is Dead Rising 1, actually. I never finished that. I have to go back and do that. But I loved 2. I loved Off the Record, and so going back and playing them again, it's I love this story. I hate 100,000 kills.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts when you go back to Dead Rising 1 again and do the comparison, and then we can have a round 2 of Dead Rising 1 versus 2.
I just personally, just to take it, I mean, I'll have to go back and play. I still enjoyed Dead Rising 2 more than 1.
Haha, in your face, Crandy.
I even, I'd have to go back and really look at Dead Rising 1, but I even think, now off the record, and this is the thing, I think off the record though, Dead Rising 2 was good. It had its kind of semi-humorous moments, but it tried to be in that sort of serious vein, so like where I would argue like Dead Rising 1 over Dead Rising 2 might be on some of the subtle humor, but in terms of like the gameplay dynamics and all that, I'm like, I think it was a definite improvement going to 2. But off the record, when you really brought back Frank, like that was what I didn't like about Dead Rising 2, just regular, like I didn't care about Chuck's daughter.
A lot of people had that.
Yeah, it was like, okay, fine. I tamed a tiger and I gave her a pet. Yay. But when it's Frank, then it's funny, you know? It's like Frank takes the humor level to where I just thought Off the Record was just a far better game out of the entire franchise. And yeah, Dead Rising 3, unfortunately, was, Dead Rising 3. And I haven't tried 4. Maybe. So. But that's it. That's what I did this week. So thanks for remembering I was still here in silence.
Thanks, Damien. Who's next?
Prue, why don't you? I mean, you got a pretty short list, right? Because you were on vacation the whole week. So what did you end up doing?
I do in fact have a very short list. I played. Both Randy and I are now making our way through Saints Row 4 Re-Elected Edition, which is the Xbox One version of Saints Row 4. Which, in fact, believe it or not, may be worse than the 360 version of Saints Row 4 because it's glitchy as hell. And we are like both having problems unlocking achievements in the middle of the game. We've actually gotten to the point now where we're very proficient at the game. So we're kind of getting to the point where like we know how to do this. And it's going to be much less time than the first time we went through it. But we're hitting these points where it's like these achievements should be unlocking and they don't unlock for another 6 hours or whatever. The next time you log in, you may get that achievement. So I don't know exactly if that's going to go very well, but we're working on it and we'll see how that goes. I mentioned I played a little bit of a Rocket League as well before vacation, and just to get some points in this week and to stay in GTSC individual since my rando team already lost.
Really?
Yes.
Even with the bonus?
Yeah, even we used the bonus the week before last, which kept us in it. And I say the one guy used the bonus the week before last. It's fine. It was rando team 879 or whatever. It's fine. We were done. We never had a chance. So yeah, my team in GTask lost. No big deal. I don't really care. But in order to just to stay ahead, I played Ung's Quest, Fire Ung's Quest in
yes, that's got some amazing achievements.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, the achievement names and descriptions are actually really awesome in this game. It's a Windows
what?
25 ungongongongongs. Yeah, it's great. This is a Windows 10 game, and it's a point and click adventure. And if you follow the guide, it can be done in less than just over an hour, I would say. And it's not a great game. It's not a bad game. It's just a game that you play and you can get it done. But the achievement name and descriptions are actually really fun and unique because they're done in quote unquote caveman language. So it's unga bunga blah blah blah, and it's like you get this achievement for blah 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 blah, and like you don't know what the achievements are for or what you're getting them. But yeah, I got the full 1,000 in that before I went on vacation. So other than that, the only thing that's been keeping my streak alive and all that has been Solitaire Collection, Microsoft Solitaire Collection. Mm-hmm. I've just been getting random achievements in that, not related to bronze, silver, or gold or anything of that, but just kind of like 100 rounds of Klondike and 10 boards of Tri-Peak and all of this stuff. So I've just been using that as a kind of a streak extender.
Streak saver.
Just to keep me going, because I had my phone with me. So other than that, I haven't been playing much. So hopefully next week. Honestly, I haven't even been able to look at my random to-do list yet, which I love the random to-do list. So I'm so excited about it, but I haven't been able to kind of dive into that yet. But that's what I've been playing.
I actually forgot to say, because I think last week or the last week before, I mentioned that I'd basically gone through and basically culled a lot of games out of my sort of picks for random to-do list, because I was finding mine were too
cut 1,000 games out.
Yeah, I was just finding it way too random. So my list is actually looking pretty interesting. So I'll hopefully I'll get a few more than 6 this period, but we'll see.
It was my turn, huh? Awesome.
Yeah.
So I recorded a bit last week, that you heard at the end of the show there, and I left off saying that I was going for the True Achievements Challenge for that app achievement and the challenge in State of Decay. And I wanted to come back to you and say I was so successful, and I did it, and it was great. And I get to do it. I did it. It was awesome. I actually did it pretty quick. It turns out I was very close to getting what I needed. And, of course, as you start to fix up that RV, you kind of get pieces and pieces. And then it's like, oh, great, you got it ready. And, okay, here goes the timer. And, gosh, you know what? We really need sheet metal. You better go find some. It's like, fine, I'll go get it. And then I was like, I know that I was going to go back to the 360 version and do a better import. And so I'm like, I could stand around and get some more cheap. Nope. I'm just getting the challenge, doing it. And I was really judicious. I'm like, okay, let's wait. Let's make sure that the TA achievement, I'm going to read the TA achievement guide for the challenge. Am I doing this right? Is this going to, I don't want to screw this thing up, because there's not many challenges out there. So this is my shot. And bam, double whammy. I got the True Achievement app achievement and an achievement in State of Decay and a challenge in State of Decay. So I got 3, boom, 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 all diamonds. It was great.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to get back to that game.
Have you completed the True Achievements app yet?
I have not. I need to do 100 news stories. The one I can't do is read an article 5 minutes after it's posted. Because everything's posted during the day when I'm not near my Xbox.
The trick for that one was to keep an eye on their Twitter feed. But yeah, if you're not close to your Xbox when it happens, that's going to be
it doesn't do me any good. Because anytime I have a 2-hour window and anyone who posts anything is not online. So that doesn't
I don't know if this is a good time to bring this up or not. And I don't want to interrupt you, Freem. And we can cut this out totally. But the new dashboard with the overlay, this seems to be this is amazing. I love the overlay versus Snap. Overlay is
That's right. You're on the preview program, aren't you?
I am. Overlay is so much better than Snap, and I only played. I've only played with it tonight. And if we don't want to get into it right now,
let's hear it.
We've mentioned it before, but we haven't had anybody who's had first-hand experience on the show as yet. So yeah, go for it.
Yes. So okay. So tonight I got home from vacation and I was playing through Saints Row 4 for the second time, and so I knew what to expect and I knew what I was working towards. You have the option to kind of wherever you want on the screen to put the overlay, quote unquote, where the snap would have been. So in any quadrant of the screen, you could left, middle left, top left, middle left, top left. What it doesn't matter. You can put it wherever you want, and you can put up to 3, I think, achievements that you want to track, and you can also.
Right, I was going to ask that because there was some questions about whether or not it was just the 3 most recently...
like the closest to being done?
Yeah, either the closest or the ones that have had activity recently, or whether you can actually set them. If you can set them, that would be ideal.
So what you can do is you can set any achievement on the list as your favorite. And that will be... So I kind of played around with it a little bit, and I set 2 out of the 3 as my favorite, and... those 2 came to the top, and then the next highest, closest one that I was at was the bottom one. And then once one completed, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's cycled through to the next closest one or the next highest one. And it actually does in the same way that you, how the I don't want to say original or classic, but how you're probably used to it, the tracker normally goes. So I'm playing here. I was playing Saints Row 4, and on the top right of my screen, I had the 3 achievements that I was tracking, and it was for a certain number of kills with a certain weapon. And you get a kill with the weapon, and you see the tracker, and it's highlighted in, of course, it's highlighted in bright
light
white.
green.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever color. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it grows. You got 1 more kill. You got 10 more kills or whatever. So it's actually really, really useful. And you can change the transparency if you don't want to see it like way overlaid on top of what you're used to. It's actually really, really useful. I got to say, I think it's going to be great. I think this is like super exciting. It doesn't reduce the screen size of how Snap did before.
That's what drove me nuts about Snap.
It's everything that you needed from the Snap version of the Achievements app, but in a much smaller place. And you're only going to be looking at 3 achievements anyway. So it sort of makes sense. Yeah, it sounds good. I'm really excited for it. I guess we just need to watch out for those upcoming discontinueds. But how about the speed of the dashboard generally? That's been a highlight or something that people have been talking about.
It's okay. So it's weird. Again, I only have had like 2 hours of experience with it. It's very different. I'm used to like pressing the home button to close out of the current running game or app.
Yeah. That's going to be a bit of a jarring thing, I imagine, on a lot of people.
You can't do that. You have to actually like quit the game, not quote unquote quit the game. It's a little different. I don't hate it, and I don't have enough time to get used to it yet. But I can see what they're doing, and I kind of like it. I kind of like where they're going.
You scared me, Prue. Change scares me.
It's not awful. It's not awful. So you hit the guide button, and in a lot of ways, it doesn't snap it. It doesn't in the same way that we're used to snapping. It's overlaying everything.
Yeah.
So it's
the Xbox dash. It's the Xbox 360 style dashboard.
It's exactly
dashboard's
what
always there. It's instant, and you get access to those things. Yeah.
So we'll see. I again from 2 hours of experience, and that's it. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's going to be good.
Bingo! I can't wait. You know what? When is that supposed to roll out? Any idea when the rest of the schlubs are getting it?
When it's ready.
Okay.
It's going by past experience. It's probably going to be within the month.
Yeah, I would imagine very soon. Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's get back to what I finished up here. So, end of January, of course, I rocked the Gamertag Challenge. I mean, I just went nuts, and I finished that thing. I got, over the weekend, I think I mentioned 9 different games. I just boom, 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 achievement after achievement. Finished those things out, but my final thing that I did for the month was I made that goal of not getting kicked out of the random to-do list. Well, I almost did in January. I saved it to the very last minute, and I decided, oh boy, I better get at least one. And so I went about halfway through the game Whispering Willows. I'm not a big fan of that game. It's fine, right? Easy gamer score, nothing crazy. But I kind of just left it hanging there as relatively easy points.
The thing about that game, I find, is that I went into that game basically using a guide, and I kind of wonder if the game would have been better without a guide, because you have to go and explore these things and delve into the story. With the guide, you're kind of just bypassing a lot of things, and you don't really get involved.
Maybe that's it, because I did it literally that. I just followed a guide, and it's like, go here, down 2 ladders, over to this place, boom, there it is, run from this guy, do this, and you're just kind of executing a roadmap. I could see it as almost like a Metrovania, right, where you got to explore and try and match the things up, and what am I doing, and
I don't know.
And there's a lot more hints, and there's a lot of ghosts you don't have to interact with necessarily for the game to proceed, but they would give you hints and clues to proceed normally if you had been just playing it normally. So yeah, I feel that game gets a bit of a hard rap just because us achievement hunters are basically just using a walkthrough for it. So, yeah.
So then we had Diablo, of course, on Monday night, and our crew, so Mattism, Saucy, and Koosh, they have all hit level 30 with their hardcore characters. So they got the achievement. I'm not quite there. I couldn't quite devote as much time to them, but I went from level 22 to 27 or 28. I think I'm like right there. I'm ready to do it. But we killed Diablo. We finished the game on whatever normal mode, right? So now we're moving into nightmare mode. We'll go until I reach level 30, and then I think we're all starting new characters to do nightmare and get those guys up to level 70, and get into hell mode and inferno mode and just whatever. I'll keep doing that stuff. So Diablo is great. Oh my goodness, I'm having so much fun on that. And then on Tuesday, I played a little bit of Destiny, but it was kind of by myself. I was just cleaning some stuff up, and I wasn't feeling great. This is kind of when it started to not feel fantastic. And so then when Wednesday came around, I was like, it's February 1st. I'm not going to do any multiplayer gaming. I'm just going to do my random to-do list. Boy, did I hit that thing hard. It was awesome. I got really excited. I went in and started with Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, and I needed to kill 10 dudes with the Gatling gun. And so I picked a game mode that, the successive graveyards and gardens mode or whatever, where they have to take successive points down to the end. See, they're like, it's a really long game type, and I mean, I just got my crap kicked, but got my 10 in one session. I was hard to boost, so I'm glad I did that semi-legit. And then I moved over to Crimson Dragon and ripped through that. I had a nice easy one there. Draw a Stick Man Epic. I had to play that for a little bit. I unlocked 3 achievements in that one. That's kind of much, much better with the controller. When I first did that with the Kinect, that was a disaster. And then I moved to the controller, and it was, that's the way to do that game. Way, way easier. And then finished that night with Zombie Driver Ultimate Edition. I just had to do one blood race. So I was like, boom, 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 easy. And then I worked on Runner 2, the Legend of Rhythm Alien or whatever. So I needed to get 50 rewards, and I was at like 37, I think. And so rewards are for doing cumulative things. So like you get one jumping 10 times, jumping 50 times, jumping 100 times, jumping 200, jumping 500, jumping 1,000, jumping 2,000, or breaking, blocks or doing this. And so they're very cumulative, and 50 is actually kind of in that point where it's quite doable. I think 60 and 70 are where it gets pretty difficult, and 80 and above is obscene. Like, you have to put so much time into those, but I love the game. Like, that is one of my favorite, it's an awesome rhythm game. Infinite Runner, the guy just goes, and you have to just get your button presses so that it works out. Again, the achievements do not come very fast in that game, but if you just enjoy listening to some awesome music, that game is brilliant. And they just announced Runner 3, I think, is coming up right around the corner. I don't know the release date for that exactly, but man, I am pumped for that. And then finally, Frontier Defense in Titanfall. Of course, I missed this week's Titanfall session. I was real sick. Actually, I took a bunch of NyQuil, and I went to bed and got 8 hours of sleep, guys. Wow. 8 hours of sleep. That's like twice as much sleep as I normally get. I mean, that's how sick I was. It was, I felt like $1 million the next day, but, man, yeah, 8 hours. So anyway, I'm still kind of getting over it here. Throat's a little scratchy. It's kind of garbage, but we'll figure this thing out. You know what's weird too is I didn't even get sick from my kids. Like, they're usually the festering piles of disease that bring garbage home from school. And my wife and I got sick, and the kids are fine. It's like, oh man, how does that even happen? Oh,
I think that
so
means
frustrating.
You're
It could
old.
be. Could be. So yes, we are recording. I have literally 4 minutes left of my birthday as we're recording.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Freem.
So my kids and I had asked. My kids got me some of the best gifts. So I said, look, I need new updated pictures in my office, right? Because I have like pictures from when my son was like an infant, and he's 8. It's like I want updated pictures. So if you guys could just draw me a picture, that would be great. And then so my son drew a zombie baseball player, and my daughter drew like a cat with a jetpack. I'm like, these are awesome. I love them. And then they brought gifts with those, and I was like, oh, what are these? And so I take them out, and they each made a clay figure with with modeling clay, and they made them zombies. My son made a zombie guy, and my daughter made a zombie horse, his pet horse. I'm like, I was so shocked, and I'm like, you guys know me so well. I love these. And so these tchotchkes are going up on my desk. But the piece de resistance, my Elite controller, I got it. It's awesome. I put it together. I've got the extended stick on my aimer, normal stick. I mapped the paddle buttons, and we played as a family. Right, I didn't really test it out, but as a family, we played Minecraft. And I'm already hitting the paddles when I don't want to. So they're gonna.
Do you know the trick with that? You can actually disable them or enable them on the fly. So if you double tap the sync button, you can turn them off, which is
perfect.
How's that weight feeling? That's a solid weight. It's so good.
It is, and I had to attach my chat pad to it. I mean, so this thing is like a 8-pound bowling ball now that I'm holding. I mean, this thing is massive. But I like that texturized feel to it. That it feels real nice. And I told my kids, I'm like, listen, guys, this is Dad's. You may not touch this. So you find the other controller, you can do something, but this is mine.
Now, I hear the mandatory thing you need to do with those before you really sort of do anything else. You've got to kind of bed them in a bit, and that takes a bit of time in the oven. So I recommend putting it in the oven and baking it for a little bit just to make sure it's settled.
Yep. Maybe some eggs and some flour, and then just maybe a light 200 degrees. No, don't do it. Yep. Don't put them in the oven, people.
325 for 4 minutes. Yeah, I got you. All right. Well, that's my recap. Let's move into Knobs and Discos, our home for unobtainable and discontinued achievements. Tarragon, what do we got this week?
Well, we've got one piece of good news and a couple of one piece of good news, one warning, and one bad news. So, Dead Rising 4, Master Journalist had been unobtainable from launch. That has now been fixed, so that game is now completable. There's the Minecraft 360 version that also got the title update. I've been reading in the forums that there have been a lot of people having trouble with those achievements sticking or not unlocking or various things going wrong with them. So if it may be worth just holding off a little bit longer on those just to make sure they're settled down. I've gathered from some people that they've been unlocking them fine, so it may be just down to random chance whether or not they work on it. But yeah, there are some issues with that, so be wary. One interesting thing to think about with the Minecraft 360 version as well is that has now hit 98 achievements, and the max ever seen on a game on 360 is 99. So in theory, if there's any further title updates for that game, there'll only be one more achievement, and that'll be that. So it's that'll be interesting to see what happens with that too.
Yeah, interesting.
And the last one is sorry. Yeah, Orange Box was the one with 99. I think there's been some others, but that was the peak. And the last thing is the game Necropolis. There's an achievement in that called Master Chef. That's been confirmed by the devs as being, we released an update and broke this. But they also went on to say, I'll get the quote because it was a bit frustrating. We broke it and probably won't be able to unbreak it. So sorry about that, which is a bit disappointing. So
that's obnoxious.
Yeah, so that was on Twitter. I'll put that in the show notes. But yeah, it's Harebrained Studios basically said, we broke it. We're not going to fix it. So
bastards. So
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
We got one other thing, and again, this isn't official, so I don't know if you've tested this or have heard anything. But NBA Kirkland posted this on his feed. And it was a message to the Molasses Flood. Somebody asked, Nathan Keebler asked, hey, any update on the Paleo Diet achievement? And Molasses Flood responded saying it should be fixed on the PS4, rolling it in with a bunch of stuff on the Xbox One and PC. So I'm not sure if an update came through yet, if we've seen that, but it sounds like that is, if it's not fixed already, will be fixed in the near future. So,
sorry, what game was that for? Sorry, I didn't
Flame in the Flood.
Ah, right, yep. Cool.
So
well,
hopefully that
news,
works. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Well, what else do we need to do? Oh, we got a review.
Yes,
this week. It's Batman, right?
Yeah, sure is.
I think it is. Batman. That's great. Let's hear it.
You're not Batman. I'm Batman.
All right, so this week on Review Zed, we do not have our regular Rain Cloud co-host. Instead, we've brought somebody much more cheerful. So, Joe?
Hello.
So,
yes, I'm feeling very cheerful today, actually. So that's
good. And you're not coming off a Patriots Super Bowl win.
Off a who, what, now win?
Yeah, exactly.
Did something happen while I was asleep?
Happened while a bunch of people went to sleep, it turns out. But I digress. So this week we're reviewing Batman, the Telltale series. So this was put out by, clearly, Telltale Games in conjunction with publisher Warner Brothers Interactive. It has an Xbox Live store price of $5.99 per episode, or $15.99, I think, for the season pass. And it is starting off, it is a point-and-click Telltale story adventure. So, I guess first impressions, Joe, turn it over to you. Your thoughts?
It was another Telltale game. My first impression really was that, wow, this is short. But on the other hand, it was an intriguing enough story that, yeah, it's worth a play. I think that's basically what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I find Telltale, especially with their, really going down the route of not franchise, but licensed IP, right? They do the Minecraft story. This is obviously DC universe, so it's not technically their own full, hey, we've created this. I mean, even Walking Dead, right? I mean, it's The Walking Dead, it's all based on someone else's intellectual property. So therefore, the story, I mean, while it's nice that they have a story that, especially if you're into Batman, is, hey, it's something different. It's a different spin on it, maybe not traditional to what you're reading in the comics. It is, however, very much on rails in that sense of everybody that you're going to see, everybody that kind of plays in, you're like, oh, wait, yeah, I know who this person is from the universe, which kind of led to my, I think, biggest complaint on, well, as you said, it's a very short game, but it didn't really, as I'm finding with most of my Telltale games, there's not really an arc. It's, here's a story, a 5-hour story, not a bad 5-hour story, but we're going to litter quick time events and some semi-meaningful, not meaningful choices, which at the end of the game, did any of my choices, did any of my quick time events change the outcome of where this would have ended? I guess that's my biggest thing. Like, if I go for a replaying of this, I mean, was it good for the one playthrough I did? Yeah. But would I really go through and play through it again for the alternative choices? Kind of like even going back to The Walking Dead. If it wasn't for achievements, would I go and put 5 more hours just to switch the things? And at the end of the game, I'm going to go, did anything dramatically change?
Yeah, I guess it didn't seem like, the decisions that you made had massive impact. I mean, that seems to be a common theme with the Telltale games. It's not like Life is Strange, where, wow, the ending. Yeah, I mean, even with The Walking Dead, though, that at least was a decent length and cheaper.
Yeah.
even with The Walking Dead, it was like, oh, X will remember this. It's like, yeah, but will they? And if they do, well, it makes them slightly grumpier. Or, their shirt is blue. Nothing really meaningful, as you said.
Yeah, I think the one thing that did bother me too when I was talking to Randy about this while I was playing through it, I made choices, and I want to kind of go through this without doing spoilers, obviously, for people that are playing through, because, I mean, again, we will say it's Batman, the villains and the characters, while there is some new people, I don't read enough Batman, I can't tell if all of the villains were new. Most of them I knew of, except for one.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
But then I don't read the comics either.
Yeah. But what did I do? I did something where I chose not to. I mean, early on, there was a thing where you could interrogate the suspect, and I was like, okay, I had a crowbar, and it's like, okay, do you hit the person with it, or do you hit the barrel next to them? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll hit the barrel next to them, and it's like, do you break their arm or not break their arm? Okay, I'm not going to break their arm.
It's like, I'm Batman. I'm not going to break their arm. That's not what Batman does.
Yeah, and then what happened is it's like, in the next subsequent thing, it's like, oh, well, you put that guy in the hospital, and you're like, what are you talking about? I didn't even do those actions. And so that's where I suddenly got into this mindset of going, did my decision even matter? Or did you literally just have it scripted where if you did do these things, you'd be like, yeah, I clearly put the guy in the hospital. And if you didn't make those choices, it's almost like, doesn't matter, you would have put him in the hospital. And then you're almost going, well, then in that case, then you know what? I don't care what I choose. I'm just going to choose, I'll just be a jerk from there on out. I mean, maybe, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think you punch him, but, and I think he's hanging upside down, but, so maybe he's got to be in the hospital either way. Maybe it's more severe if you, but of course we didn't play that way.
Yeah. So, but I guess that's my point, right? Like when you sit there and you're going, if that is the extent of my choices, then at the end, my choice would have ended the guy being there at the same place at the same. You're almost going 6 one way, half dozen another.
Yeah.
Did my arc matter? And I guess that's where, it really comes down to, like, you play through the title and you're like, will I go play it again on 360 or Windows 10? Yeah, sure, whatever. It's achievements. But if it wasn't for achievements, did the variance and the decisions go like, yeah, this really warrants a replaying of the game? I mean, I think that, though, I need to clarify, I am not a diehard Batman fan. I'm not opposed to Batman, don't get me wrong. I was a comic book geek, but I was very much a Marvel, X-Men, X-Factor, that type growing up. So I was less into Batman, where it's like, okay, yeah, this is fine. It's a good, decent Batman story, but I'm not like sitting there like going, oh God, it's another Batman thing. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I've kind of got Batman fatigue. I feel like there are so many more characters in the universe that they could have done that was more original, rather than doing yet another Batman.
Yeah.
But, that's just my opinion. I'm not a diehard fan. Maybe we should ask Tarragon.
Yeah, I know Tarragon is a little more... I think he had the... I mean, not to put words in Tarragon's mouth, and I'm sure he can interject them here if he wanted to, but... segue for Tarragon. Segue out of Tarragon. There we go. But I think, again, it was that same thing. Like, this isn't a bad... I mean, Telltale does do a good job, and what to give Randy his moment of where he would complain on something. Oh, it's completely unpolished. No, I think they do a polished job, and the game delivers through on its expectations. I think it's just after titles like Life is Strange and maybe even doing Japanese visual novels. I think my complaint on a Telltale game is less of, it's not like the game isn't finished, but there's not this arcing. There's real variance in the story. It's like, here is just a cohesive story, and that's going to be your playthrough.
Yeah.
Again, for users, like, if you're really into that point-and-click adventure, if you like Telltale storytelling narrative, if you are a fan of Batman, I don't think you'll be disappointed by this series. I I don't want to, though, say if you're not in the market for that, if you're not here to put up either easy gamer score, if you're not a fan of Batman and you're just looking for, something in that price vein. I mean, I think you're saying it is kind of pricey for how short it is, and I don't find massive replay on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's compared to the previous Telltale games, it is significant. Well, not Minecraft. Minecraft was ridiculous because there were like 7 episodes.
8,
But compared to like The Walking Dead, Tales of the Borderlands, Wolf Among Us, the price jumped like 25-30%. And then it seemed like the episode, the play time for each episode halved. So it didn't seem like we were getting the same value. It doesn't seem like we're getting the same value for the money. Though I did remember what I was going to say. I didn't find it was particularly glitchy. Because sometimes you get glitches in the Telltale games. And that one, it seemed fairly stable. I don't know what your experience was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't have any issues on loading or anything. And I even played part of it streaming on the Xbox through a computer. So I didn't have any, technical glitching like where the game itself was poorly, from a coding standpoint. Everything popped, everything, played through, segments worked. So no issue on that. Yeah, exactly. So again, they put together a polished title. I guess it's really just a question of, do I like that kind of shine on my game? Yeah.
But I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
But I would wait for it to go on sale, as they all do.
Yeah, either wait for it to be on sale or, if you're a diehard Batman fan, and chances are if you are, you've already bought this, so probably not listening to our review. But if you're on the fence, if you're not, enamored with Batman, and unless you're in GTAS looking to put up a quick 1,200 points, I might wait till the season pass goes on to sale.
Yeah. And it wasn't sale over Christmas, so if you picked it up then that was good. But yeah, I would wait for it to drop. It'll drop again, definitely.
Yeah.
It'll be another sale.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe there'll be Batman Telltale Series number 2.
Oh well, yeah. I would have assumed that they would play more on that one. Plus, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming up as well.
Yeah. There'll be some interesting ones, so you'll probably hear about those from us too.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else then to add, Joe?
No. I'd say thumbs up from me, though an on sale thumbs up, and no rain clouds in sight.
Ditto. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us this week. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the review, and we'll see what Telltale continues to come out with here. Now let's move into, we're going to wrap up the show here real quick. We've got some zombie news, and I want to big shout out to the zombie news correspondent, Saucy Slingo. This guy is, he's my boots on the ground. He comes up with all sorts of stuff, and he sent me this article a few days ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago. And he said that the zombie apocalypse, if it's going to happen, is actually probably going to only take about 100 days to wipe out the entire population of the Earth. This was based on a paper. It was published in the University of Leicester. I think that's how it's pronounced. Journal of Physics and Special Topics. They essentially, there's a lot of companies and thought experiments that do this where they take zombieism as a disease and they kind of propagate it as a pandemic, and so they kind of have some fun with it. I know the CDC has like a zombie preparedness thing. The government has come up with a plan for if there's a zombie outbreak, what do we do? What happens in that sort of a scenario? Just kind of a thought experiment and something that's, a little silly, but it makes you think about what to do in a case of emergency. So this one, they're kind of looking at it as a disease, and it, there's actually been a few of these, but this one in particular is saying that so here's the assumptions, okay? That the zombie was going to have a 90% chance of finding and infecting one human per day. So that would make that would be then twice as infectious as the Black Death. But that's one of the bases they're going at. You might think that's wrong. You might think that's too high. Whatever. And then they said that a zombie could live for 20 days without eating brains. So that they would fall apart without, that would be their source of sustenance, those brains, and so after 20 days they'd die. So if you had 7.5 billion people on the planet, you take one person, it would take, of course, 20 days of lifespan for that zombie. At the 100-day mark, the population would be 181 people. So 7.5 billion down to 181 in 100 days. And there would be 190 million zombies on the planet. Of course, that's only for 20 days, and then obviously they're all gone.
I argue and disagree with this methodology, but we don't need to get into it.
They did a follow-up because I said the same thing. So they said, oh, here you go, follow-up paper. This is what we're going to do. Zombies are now going to live longer. They're going to live up to 1 year. And humans now have a 10% chance of killing a zombie every day. And they've added human reproduction. So every, female in the right age could make a baby every 3 years. And what was the other one? I thought there was one other thing. That was about it. Did not go. It went better, but it was still pretty bad. They said, so the zombies died off after about 1,000 days, but 10,000 days after the beginning of 10,000 days from once this whole thing started, the human population would actually then recover. So it never wiped us out completely in this modified version. If you could last a full year, but here that there's a hope if there was the zombie apocalypse. What are your contentions, Peru?
My specific arguments against the whole zombie thing is the fact that zombies are self-refuting. If every zombie's goal is to eat a human, there are going to be less zombies for every. So let me hang on. Let me reframe this in a different way. If every zombie, so we see all of these things in zombie movies where there are 1,000 zombies coming after all these group of 6 to 10 humans, right? Yep. And then there's the one human that shouldn't have been pissing in the alleyway, and they get torn apart from the stomach, and so that person doesn't get turned into a zombie; they get turned into zombie food, presumably, right?
Yep.
So it's a very unique, in the same way that fossilization is kind of a unique situation that happens. Zombification is a very unique situation. 99% of people that get attacked by zombies just get eaten. They don't get turned into zombies. So there are actually less people turned into zombies than just get kind of eaten. So it's actually kind of a self-defeating enemy. It doesn't make any sense that they would propagate successfully. In fact, they would starve themselves to death because most zombies eat people and not turn themselves into zombies. So it doesn't really seem to make any sense that this would be a kind of a threat in any way.
My biggest contention, and I love that point. Because that's true, right? 90% is high because 50% chance the person that they've eaten is incapacitated to the point where they can't be a zombie because they've been devoured piece by piece. I think popular culture, it dictates that once the person dies, that then the zombies are no longer interested in eating it. And so if if the pure shock or whatever killed them, or there was some traumatic, they ate the heart first, then, maybe they could come back. I don't know. We're just speculating here. But my biggest issue was the notion that zombies actually eat people for sustenance. Zombies are dead. There's no sustenance. They just eat brains because they feel like they crave it, but it doesn't give them any sort of energy. The zombies don't use energy. They're burning whatever is left of the corpse that they're using to motivate themselves to walk. That's why they're falling apart. They're decaying with the natural, order of things. Most zombies and many of the books I've read is that, a zombie's going to gorge itself on this meat, but it has no digestive enzymes to process it. So it ends up just filling its stomach so full that it's just this bloated, distended, disgusting mess that will probably rupture because, again, the zombie has no sensation and will continue to eat until it, the sack of stomach no longer can hold whatever, meal it has consumed. The motivation for brains is
such a cheery topic.
The motivation for brains is simply this primal urge to eradicate any sort of brain activity because, zombies don't eat each other because there's no brain activity. So they are going after this brain activity and that's what they're going for. It's not a hunger in the true sense of survival. It's a hunger for pure eradication.
I guess it depends on which version of zombies you're talking about as well, because there are various different types. There's the brain ones. There's the ones that just eat because they eat. There's even certain probably variants that do require sustenance to keep going. It's kind of it's an interesting thought experiment. I think you need to describe how the zombies actually work a bit more. Yeah. But I guess there's also parallels to be drawn with vampirism, and like vampires can't be too successful because they'll run out of food. So vampires themselves are kind of self-limiting. It's like any kind of major predator will be self-limiting. If they're too successful, then they run out of a food source and will die out. So there's a parallel to be drawn there, I think, with zombie or the zombie myth. So,
speaking of zombies and vampires, and I feel like I've mentioned it on the show before, but this consistently bothers me, and so I'm going to bring it up again because this is just sticks in my craw every time I think about it. And it was that show Deadliest Warrior, and they did an episode where they pitted zombies against vampires. They said which is the greatest. Yeah. And this is that same scenario where it's like you just tweak the factors just a little bit, and all of a sudden, vampires greatest killers in the world. Yep, because a vampire could take out 50 zombies by himself. But, if there was 52 zombies, then the zombies would be the greatest killers in the world. But no, there's only 50. That's our assumption. And it's the same thing with this.
The problem is that we're talking about things that aren't real. They're fictional. So, of course, we can tweak any of the parameters that we want.
What do you mean fictional?
Well, zombies are fictional, maybe not vampires.
Okay, thank you.
But they're because they're fictional, you can tweak them any way you want to get the result that you want. So,
But you could take real life things. You could say, okay, Prue is going to go fight a bear. Okay, and it's going to be he's got a gun. Okay, and it is a 700-pound bear. Okay. So that's the battle. All right. Well, what if, though, that bear was 900 pounds? He could maybe take a bullet or two.
What if that bear had bulletproof armor on? Because that could happen.
If we're making all things equal, a zombie is far superior to it. A vampire is far superior to a zombie, presumably, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I don't understand the argument then. If you have a person that is 10 times stronger than an average human, and somebody who is literally an emaciated human, like kind of limping along, I don't know how you would argue that one.
I think the point here is that let's take the bear versus Prue argument, right?
Right.
Well, let's say Prue has no weapon; it's just bear and Prue.
Prue is fighting a bear. Okay, I'm okay with this.
Right. Okay. And that's fine. So the bear would obviously win, right, in that scenario, pretty much every time. But what if you had 10 Prue mates?
Right.
What if you had 100 Prue mates versus the bear? Would they eventually win? Like with
what if you had 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Yeah,
exactly. That is the argument. Where's the tipping point?
Which one of those would win?
Right. When where's the line? And so that's where that zombie one comes from. Is one one vampire can easily take out 12 or so. They in the experiment, they had a martial artist and they had zombies on zip lines in a circle like dummies, and he had to turn and punch each zombie as it came in, and they would just keep sending them at random intervals. And so this stuntman, he could take out 12 before the 13th reached him without him punching it. And then so they said, okay, that was 12, okay, and then now a vampire is 10 times faster than a human, and so 120, or whatever the algorithm was. So that's where they came up with that percentage. And so it's like in the bear crewmate argument, where's the tipping point? How many crewmates do you need to really take on a bear? And we're talking about, I'm saying grizzly bear too, not a man in a leather vest. Right, okay? Right. Yeah. This is a legitimate grizzly bear.
And a legitimate crewmate. I think we need to throw that out to the community and get some feedback on that, because it's an important topic that deserves an answer, I think.
Totally does. So with that, aside from discussing the greater ramifications of the zombie apocalypse, what are you guys going to be up to this week or this month or rest of February? What do you got? I don't want you to dictate your entire February plans, but do you got any gaming plans here, Tarragon? What are you going to be working on?
Certainly got a few. As I mentioned earlier, Elite Dangerous. I'm getting back to the bubble this month and setting up the Z2Z player group and player faction. So that's my plans in that. I'm actually quite excited about that, because getting our names actually stamped in the Elite Dangerous universe will be pretty cool if we can pull it off.
Yeah, for sure.
Titanfall, I basically just want to get all the hardware and do my regen and pick up any other miscellaneous achievements I can whilst going along that particular ride. But once that happens, I'm pretty much done with the game. Marathon co-op, we've got to set up that session sometime, Prue, and get that going. I think there was somebody else who mentioned they wanted to do that, and I think it's actually got 4-player co-op. Koosh, yeah. So there's actually 4-player co-op, I think. So getting that through and getting that done would be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Still looking for anybody interested in Destiny 360. I would like some people to work on that with. Obviously, time zone is a challenge, but if we can get people together for that, that would be great. I want to work on the community challenges this month. I think the one that you haven't mentioned so far has been M. Soren's new one, the Polish games one, which is pretty interesting.
Right.
So
it is interesting. There's a lot more games in that list than I thought there was.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? So I've got to go through and just see what games I've already completed to add to that list and see what else I can add. And, of course, the Gamer Tag challenges and so forth. I actually want to make an attempt at the Gamer Tag challenge this month. I didn't really put any time into it last month, and the random to-do list, of course. And I want to finish off or get as much done in Mirror's Edge Catalyst as I can and start Quantum Break this month, because that's been the other big game that I never got around to playing, but I've been really looking forward to.
Nice. What about you, Prue? What's your plan for the upcoming week and or month?
Yeah, so again, this is tentative, but we're working now on, Randy and I are both working on Saints Row 4, the Reelected edition, but we kind of want to move on to get the rest of the versions done, so we'll see how that goes. I hope that we can work on those and get them done. I'm also hoping... Oh boy, I don't. There's a lot of things that feel ambitious, right? So you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. Titanfall is one of those things too. Like, I'm kind of like working with all of these people, and I hope that I can get as much done as possible. There are also a lot of like little games that I want to get done as well. I kind of hope to get at least an older game and a game that I've already worked on done every week, so I guess those two games as well. And then I'm trying to work on the stuff as well. I'm working on towards Gears, specifically the Gears 4 Horde stuff with a group of people that I have. So I'm hoping to get a lot of that stuff done, but that's kind of like working in progress, always working towards that kind of stuff. And then, of course, other than that, Rocket League. I want to get Skyrim done. Okay, here we go. I'll give you a concrete. I want to get Skyrim done by the end of the month. I really hope I can.
How close are you?
I'm not far. I'm about. Oh God, let's say that I'm working. If I can, I'm not far. It's tough. I'm not far. I can get vanilla, quote unquote vanilla Skyrim, of course, because it's different now that it's the special edition. There is no vanilla version, but I can get all of the vanilla content done from the original Skyrim in about 5 to 6 hours from where I'm at. And then I have to work on the DLC content, quote unquote, the DLC content. It's doable. I can do the Skyrim content. I could do all of Skyrim this month if I really, really focus on it. And I want to do that. So I will say that's my number one goal for this month.
Perfect. Myself, I got to keep working on Titanfall. I do my best. I'm going to keep punching away. So if you guys see me online, I'm going to be doing Frontier Defense because I need to level up and just mopping up, scrubs and AI guys and stuff. So if anybody's interested in some Titanfall, I am totally up for it, So if you see me online, awesome. Hit me up. Diablo. I got to get my guy up to level 30. We'll probably do that this week and then start a new character. I'm excited about that. And again, that's another one where you can kind of just jump into that at any time. What I skipped the first time through with my hardcore character that I need to focus on the second time is doing all the conversation trees. So I got to make sure I get that achievement and don't lose that one. This week, I think I'm also going to do Yaba, Ninja Gaiden Zed, for the both Gamertag Challenge and Posty, and the random to-do list. I've got one of them there for, I think it's something early in Chapter 7, and I'm on Chapter 6 right now, so pretty close on that one. And then 2 games I want to finish, like complete. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, that's on my random to-do list, and Goosebumps the Game is also on my random to-do list, and I'm about halfway. I did the easy, like half of that, and then I just got to do the walkthrough to get the other half of that, so that should be pretty quick. And then I also threw Quantum Break. I have Quantum Break on my to-do list. I think I want to revisit that this month, too. At least that's the plan. And then finally, I have 2 community requests. I have 2 random to-do list achievements that I need help from the community. Number 1, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare on the 360. I need to play some Garden Ops and kill a Yeti. So if we can, maybe we'll be talking in Discord and stuff. If you guys are interested, we'll put a session together at some point. So keep your eyes open for a session. I need some help. Getting that. And then the other, I need, another, so 3 people for that. I need another 3 people for Gears of War Judgment. I need to play some Horde mode. I have an achievement in that for the random to-do list as well, and Gears of War Judgment is also a Polish developer. People Can Fly helped on that game, and they are from Poland, so that will also fit with the Mokos challenge for February. So if you want to get your Gears Judgment, it's a double whammy for me. Could just be a set of achievements for others. So look for that kind of stuff in the forums, in Discord. And, that's my plan. So I think with that, we'll kind of just do our wrap-up content here. If you have not joined the Z to Z Club yet, I mean, we're still accepting invitations. It happens, consistently getting notifications on the phone. So join up. It's awesome. It's a great place. At some point, we'll use it to its full benefit, I'm sure, but you might as well get in on it now. And then, of course, the forums are the place you want to be. If you're interested in all of the contests that we have, forum.z2z.com. Look for the active ones. By the time this comes out, I should have paid out the January winners. So look for the new ones that are coming out, like the Gamertag Challenge this month for February, Mattism and Posty. So you can get yourself up to 20 entries into that for 2 separate Gamertags. If you only get 1, submit for 1. And Tarragon, we're going to do those new rules, right, as far as substitutions and stuff. Is that in effect now?
Yes, absolutely. So
there you go. I think the Y applies for the Y and the I and the O.
Yep. So
those apply for the semi.
Yep. So if you miss those, you still get 5 entries. But yeah.
No, I thought those were the semi-difficult, not the super difficult.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay, I don't have the stuff in front of me. Yeah. It's all too complicated.
So, to be honest, it's not changing then because you'll only get one entry for subbing in, but I don't want to see your garbage achievements, so that'll help. But come on, it's only, 7, 12 letters? Pfft. Between last month with Redemption Denied and M. Surin, I mean, that was a monster of a set of tags. Anyway, we also have the monthly challenge this month, not a game series like we've been doing. Instead, we are doing Love and Hearts for Valentine's Day. Oh, it's so delightful. So we're looking for any achievement in games that have the word love or heart in the title, right? So specific achievements or a game, any achievement within a game. All of it's spelled out on the forums. If you are confused, head to the forums and take a look. It's pretty darn simple. Finally, the 2017 Overly Convoluted Achievement Spectacular hosted by M. Surin or Mokas, the February From Poland with Love, unlocking achievements in Polish-based developers. Skeptical Mario went and put a list of all, there's a Wikipedia that has a directory of all Polish developers in there, and there are some common ones that people have completed in the past. A lot of old 360 ones that you want to go back through and take a look at those, and I think the biggest ones for new games would be People Can Fly and Techland. Those are the ones like on my list, so Dying Light, Dead Island, those games. Those are all Polish developers, and so that's where you're going to find some of the newer stuff. Anyway, I have a list for my own games that I own that can check off on that list. But there you have it. Finally, head over to Discord. That's discord.me/Z2Z, all one word, and look up our boosting and co-op sessions. We've got LFGs all over the place, so, of course, Titanfall's still going on, Destiny, Diablo, Elite Dangerous, Overwatch, Battleborn. Head over there. I just saw a bunch of stuff today of people, hey, I need a few more people for achievement, whatever. Awesome spot for people who are always poking around the servers who can help out. And finally, actually, we just had another person step up and want their GTASC, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge team, tracked on the show, and so we've added them. Enigma Gamer 77, he's on the list. We've got his team locked in here, and so we'll have to start kind of having a segment of a recap.
Will. Yep, sure will. So yeah, we've kind of. I think I went over it a little bit last week, but I didn't have the full list up. So yeah, we'll have to sort that out and make it official.
Yep, and it'll be fantastic.
Follow my team. Wait.
We'll follow you.
Oh, you can.
Your team is out.
Follow.
Bummer. Weak sauce. That's the worst.
I just had a thought, actually. The Z2Z tag is actually on True Achievements. We can actually add all the people who are on these teams to the friends that we track for them, so we can actually log into the Z2Z account and see which ones they're tracking. It's a good way to do it.
Hey, that's a smart way to do it. So if you get a friend request from Z2Z, you should accept that. Or can you just add without?
I think you can just add. You can just add people you want to track. So
then don't bother.
All right, I won't.
No, I mean, all right. I think that'll do it for the show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. It was so much fun recording it. I am now 28 minutes past my birthday. It is now Super Bowl Sunday, technically. And my wife has told me it is cleaning time, so that sucks. It really puts a damper on the birthday weekend when you know you have to clean all day the next day. But enough about my problems. What about what you guys can do to help out our show? Of course, you'd like to listen. We such appreciate that. And if you want to help us spread the word of the show, it would be so great if you could give us a rating or a review on iTunes or whatever podcast application you listen to this to. It would be fantastic. We would so appreciate that. And of course, you should head over to our website, Z2Z.com. You can find links to the show notes, credits, things we've talked about here. If that doesn't do it for you, why don't you reach out to us and talk to us directly? You can hit us up on Twitter, of course, at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. We've got that email address, contact@Z2Z.com. Private messages pretty much everywhere, trueachievements.com. The forums, you can you send a message through there, or you can send one through Discord that I mentioned before, discord.me/Z2Z. Those are all wonderful, wonderful places to find any of the hosts and all of the hosts. I want to give a big shout out to all of the tools that help this show become a reality. Libsyn, Discord, Trello, Twitter, Discourse, Zencastr, Skype, and True Achievements for all of what you do to help us get this show going. And all of you games media and other sites and people who are in the achievement hunting world, thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. We so appreciate this. And last but not least, Microsoft for the Xbox console. I didn't give you guys a chance, so Tarragon, anything you want to plug before we go? Any special ways people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me on Twitter. I'm at 22TMA. Also, my gamer tag ZZ Urban Spaceman. I can be found in all of the various different places: True Achievements, Xbox Live, Discord. That's my handle there as well. Yeah, so that's pretty much me. Prue, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere that I'm not Prue at, like Twitter. At OneUpDan, that's the number one, not the word.
Number one. You are number one in my book, Prue.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. And of course, this has been Freemhole. I'm Freemhole everywhere. FREAMWHOLE. Don't forget that W. It's Freem is in his entirety, not some sort of crevice that you just cram into. So, on behalf of Damien, Prue, Tarragon, I think Joe, and I'll throw Crandy in there too. He may or may not have helped. This has been Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next episode.
See you later, guys.
Good night.
So we don't have your.
We didn't have
get your panic attack.
or the beating up on a disabled person. No.
Of course, the comment
that never happened.
is
Wow, put that up. Yeah, that
I assume that never happened.
No, that never happened.
Oh my gosh! There's this thing on Kotaku right now that looks awesome. So they project these images on a gym wall. These laser images, and the kids throw dodgeballs at them, and if they hit the image on the wall, it explodes like Geometry Wars. This is awesome. I want to go to this gym.
Is it a Ninja Warrior gym?
I don't think so.
I think I'd rather hit other kids than the wall.
That is super fun too.
Yeah. I stop with kids.
Just remember, this is all recorded.
Why don't you start hitting some people with disabilities while you're at it, while you're laughing at them, like earlier?
Started recording just in time to catch that cough.
Nice.
You're struggling a bit there, Frame, with the.
Yeah, I can't get well. I've just been sick constantly.
Ugh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I blame exercise. That's why I had a car crash.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
See, if I hadn't been going to the gym, I would never have crashed my car.
Yep.
Why does the president sign each executive order with a different pen?
Hey, so it's basically for essentially for posterity, so that each pen can be saved. It's for hey, this was a historic moment in U.S. history, and you can save this, and you can have this. It's gifting, and it's tourism, basically.
Okay. Who gives a really?
Well,
yeah. Jesus
especially
Christ!
Now.
It's a fucking pen.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's not talk about that. Please, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, in the interest of not talking about that, was the Muslim ban effect on the game?
I was going to say, although he's been picking a fight with your country, Tarragon, so why not?
Yeah, don't get me started. On Twitter, of all things.
Well, that's his platform.
How else?
Yeah.
How else would you?
No.
discuss sensitive diplomatic ties with another country. Use a 140 character public medium to do that. Yes. It's amazing.
Yeah. You should definitely do that. You should do that.
I think it is.
Batman.
That's great. Let's hear it.
You're not Batman. I'm Batman.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the Batman voice there, Freem. Like when you.
I'm Batman. I have a cold.
Yeah, it's talking like that already hurts my throat.